6 o'clock, I will call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's February 12th, 2022 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Great Barrington Select Board will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A Section 20F, after notifying the chair of a public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body, who may transmit the meeting through any medium. The beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by the town, by CTSB, by the Berkshire Eagle, the Berkshire Edge, and other members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items, in fact, may be brought up, and other items may not be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So this is going to be a long meeting. There's going to be a couple items moved forward to accommodate people's time. And if you're on to talk about short-term rentals, this is not the meeting. We're not going to have any discussion on short-term, even at Citizen Speak, for until we have some clearance from our lawyer from town council. So there will be no discussion on Citizen Speak on short-term rental. We will invite you to stay for the whole meeting, but if that's the only thing you're here for, I just want to let you know. First thing is call to order. And the select board approval of minutes, March 28th and March 30th of 2022. Motion.
Motion to approve the minutes of March 28th and March 30th.
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
I actually have an addition on the March 30th minutes, if I could
Go ahead.
buy something. On item 2, section C, I wanted to add some information that was not included. So I can read it off and
Yeah, please.
have it added. Okay, so I guess I'll read all of C. It says, this is under Select Board announcement statements. Abrams stated that in advance of the short-term rental discussion, he completed the conflict of interest form and contacted the State Ethics Commission, whose ruling was that recusal was not required. So this is what I'd like to add. Abrams stated he received the email from, quote, Allison, unquote, the day before the meeting, but did not forward it to the board because it would be then public. E. Abrams stated he contacted the State Ethics Commission, who advised him to then recuse as an abutter due to the information contained in the email, and he formally recused himself. E. Abrams stated he does not know the person who emailed him, but he knows the individual's last name because the original email he received had the last name on it. So for the record, I'd like that added, please.
That's not entirely accurate.
That is because I looked at transcript and I looked at the video, so that's exactly what was said.
That's not entirely accurate.
Okay.
I
like
said it. I didn't send it out because she said she was sending it out to the entire board. That was the reason I didn't forward it, not because I was advised or whatever it was you said. She said she was sending it to the entire board.
Well, when I watched the video, Ed, you said you did not forward it to the board because it would then be public.
Yes, she said. I didn't say that. I told her if she forwarded it to the entire board, it would be public. She said she was forwarding it. I didn't say that's why I didn't forward it. It was
well, according to what you said in the video. So I'd like that to reflect accurately what you said.
I guess I would object to that unless I've seen the video.
Okay. So any other discussion?
Okay, so we're going to come back to that. What about E. Abrams stated he does not know the person who emailed him, but he knows the individual's last name because the original email he received had the last name on it.
The only thing I heard Ed object to was that one
Okay, I just wanted-
statement.
Correct.
So, so we have a motion and a second. And with the changes. Any other discussion? Do we have Garfield on? We do not have Garfield on. Hearing no one else.
So I just want to be clear what changes we're approving.
Lee
Yeah, adding the sentences.
is suggesting that we add that entire thing. We can go back. The other thing we can do is not approve it tonight and go back to the video and verify it.
I would prefer that, because that's certainly not it isn't what I meant.
Well, what is mending, what meant and what you said, I think is.
Understand that what I said was I didn't forward it. I warned her it would be a public document once she forwarded it to everybody. I suggested she forward it to everybody and she said she would.
Well, it's a public document once it's sent to one of us because
Yes.
it's select board business, but so let's not do the 30th. Let's just do the 28th. And we'll come back to the next meeting. We can all watch it.
Can I ask for a clarifying question though? If he did instead say that, which he did, is it, since it's factual, it can remain as it is
Yeah,
said?
you can't change what happened, but Ed can say that's not what he meant. But yes, you can't change. We're not the Congress, which you can read into minutes anything you want.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's withdraw the motion and let's just do March 28th.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the March 28th minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. Select board's announcements and statements. Eric?
Just like to make one announcement. Berkshire Grown's last winter market is this Saturday at the Hoosie Dome from 10 to 2. So last one we'll be having at the Hoosie Dome for this season. I think everybody should come down. It's a good time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed?
Nothing.
Lee?
Yes. No Mo May. So there's some talk on the Hill Great Barrington Google groups about promoting No Mo May. And I just wanted to let everyone know that if you're interested in signs and promoting, there's some signs currently out on the corner of Castle Street and Hollenbeck. And I just wanted to give you a little brief information about what No Mo May is. Mowing your lawn less creates habitat and can increase the abundance and diversity of wildlife, including bees and other pollinators. One way to reduce mowing is by participating in No Mow May. The goal of No Mow May is to allow grass to grow unmown for the month of May, creating habitat and forage for the early season pollinators. In addition to benefiting pollinators, reducing mowing frequency will save water, help your lawn become more resilient to drought, and reduce emissions from gas-powered lawn equipment that often lacks the emission reduction equipment found on larger engines. And mowing your lawn less often provides habitat for native bees, and it won't lead to an increase in disease-carrying ticks, experts say. So if there's any questions, you can write me and I can forward you some information that some of the folks on the Hill have been passing around, but I just would like to promote No Mow May. One other announcement related to, I guess, what we were just talking about. I have made a public records request, and the request was filed today, requesting correspondence between Select Board member Abrams and the person or entity known as Allison B. So that was requested today. So just publicly letting everyone know that. Thank you.
You could have just asked.
I have nothing.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
He said you could have just asked.
I
I have nothing. Town manager's report. Do you have
Yes.
anything?
I do. I have one add-on for this evening, some unfortunate news to share. And that's that Sean Van Duzen, our Public Works Superintendent, will be stepping down from his position here in Great Barrington to take the same position in the town of Longmeadow. He's been a really important part of our team here for about 5 years and has overseen numerous capital projects, and he'll certainly be missed. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to wish him well in his new position and thank him for his years of service.
And we all wish him good luck and we'll miss him.
That's all I have. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Licenses and permits, annual spring license renewals. On the sheet, it's first coin operated, beverage machines, and then real estate sign licenses. Lee, can you take the first one? I'm going to recuse myself because abundance of caution, Fairview Hospital is on there. I work for Fairview. I get no money from the licenses, but from the machines, but I think it's just better.
Oh, sure. I make a motion to renew the annual spring license for the corn-operated soft drink and food machine at Berkshire South Regional Community Center.
Second.
Roll call. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I for myself. I'll skip over Fairview Hospital. I make a motion. Do you want to come back in, Steve, or are you?
No, you could have done all three at once if you wanted, whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'll just do the other corn operated. I make a motion to approve the corn operated soft drink and food machine annual license for Wind in the Pines. Roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
You need a
Ed?
second.
Oh, sorry. Second?
Second.
Keeping you on your toes. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So that's 3 ayes. So that's a unanimous vote. Do you want to take it from here?
No,
Steve?
you got it. I can't do Fairview. You got to do the
Oh,
one.
you can't do, okay, you can't do real estate license. Okay.
No, Fairview. You didn't do Fairview.
I didn't, oh, I see. A motion to approve the corn operated soft drink and food machine license for Fairview Hospital. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So that's unanimous.
Okay, next is real estate sign licenses. Do I have a motion? And Lee, you'll have to list every one of them in one motion.
Oh, sure. I make a motion to approve the real estate licenses for the following entities. Alden Country Real Estate, Barnbrook Realty, Berkshire Property Agents, Cohen and White Associates, Great Barrington Owner LLC, Helen Mullaney Real Estate, Lance Vermillion Real Estate, McCarrow Real Estate, Stonehouse Properties LLC, Wheeler and Taylor Realty, William Pitt Sotheby's Real Estate, Housatonic Real Estate.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Next is a motion for American Legion Post 298. Andy Moore representing them. Permission to hand out poppies for donations in Great Barrington and the village of Housatonic during the month of May. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant permission to Andy Morrow of the American Legion Murphy Leary Post 298. Permission to hand out poppies for the donations in Great Barrington and the village of Housatonic during the month of May.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. And the next one, Lee?
I make a motion to grant permission to Andy Morrow for the American Legion Murphy Leary Post 298. Permission to hold a poppy boot drive on Main Street between Gas House Lane and the entrance to JB Hull Oil Incorporated on Saturday, May 21st, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with a rain date of May 28th, 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Now we have a series of, I think, four licenses for our friends at Biff. It's that time of year. We know spring is here. And the first one is for the Berkshire International Film Festival for 2 one-day liquor licenses on June 2nd from 5 to 11 p.m. and on June 4th from 5 to 11 p.m. behind Town Hall, 334 Main Street. Kelly, do you want to just give a blanket statement about all 4 licenses? I think you've done.
Certainly. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see your faces. I'm sorry. I was saying to Betsy Andrews, I'm sorry we're not all in person. I was hoping to do this in person because it's been, gosh, 3 years. I've been in touch with Mark, who was really helpful last year when we had to make that tough decision to go virtual, which of course was the right thing to do. But we are very excited to be back in action and in person. We will be a hybrid festival this year, so we will have a virtual component if people are still feeling nervous about it. But our Home of the Triplex will be utilized with 3 screens, and of course we're very happy to be back at our the elegant home that Lola built at the Mahawi. This year's festival, 16th Sweet 16, is dedicated to Lola and to, of course, our dear friend Douglas Trumbull, who we greatly miss. They were both huge champions of Biff's, and will be very strange not to have either one of them at the festival. We are essentially running the same festival that we, it's slightly more modest, but the same festival that we ran in 2019. That's hard to say. We will be putting up the tent across the street from the Mahawi. We understand the very strict rules, which we have spoken to Lynn at Mahawi Tent about. It will go up on, I believe, Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it goes up on Tuesday and it will come down Monday. If I have to take it down myself, I will do that. And we will have the party over there. Brian Alberg is doing the opening night party. Peter Platt is doing the tribute night party. There will be nothing there on Friday night or Sunday night. And we are expecting a really fantastic weekend. We've got an amazing opening night, a wonderful honoree, and a closing night. And we'll be announcing that next week. So I appreciate everyone's support. And again, I want to just do a shout out to Mark, especially because he's, he's talked me off the ledge on a few things.
Thank you, Kelly.
Mhm.
Do I have a motion for, we'll start with D, please.
I make a motion to grant 2 one-day liquor license on June 2nd from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. and on June 4th from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. behind Town Hall on 334 Main Street to Kelly Vickery and Lauren Friend from Berkshire International Film Festival.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield, you're here. We'll start with you. Just unmute yourself, Garfield.
Phil?
We'll move on to Eric. Garfield's not unmuted. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Let's go to the next one.
Make
G.
yes. I make a motion to grant 2 one-day entertainment license on June 2nd from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. and on June 4th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. behind Town Hall at 334 Main Street to Kelly Vickery and Lauren Friend for Berkshire International Film Festival.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. And let's go with the parking moratorium next.
I make a motion to grant a parking moratorium in town between Wednesday, June 1st to Monday, June 6th to Kelly Vickery and Lauren Friend for Berkshire International Film Festival.
Second.
Discussion.
So I
Roll-
guess I
Yeah, go.
got just, so this is basically just to allow people to park in parking spaces for longer, all marked parking spaces for longer than posted, but obviously
Yes.
within the designated parking spaces.
Yes, that is correct, Eric. We, because some of our films have, well, they might be a little longer than 2 hours. Many of them have filmmakers in attendance, so there's a Q&A that follows. So there's just simply no way for patrons to move their cars every 2 hours. And most people are really coming down to Great Barrington or coming to Great Barrington to watch movies, have lunch, have dinner, shop, and go back to the movies. So it's just it's tricky. It would be total chaos.
Sounds
Any
good.
other questions? Roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. And finally, Lee,
I make a motion to grant permission to hang banners on poles along Main Street between Pleasant and Bridge Street and 3 poles on Bridge Street for the period of April 18th to June 16th to Kelly Vickery and Lauren Friend on for Berkshire International Film Festival.
do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
May I have
Roll-
the dates again, please?
What's that?
The dates again, please?
Dates are April 18th to June 6th.
Thank you.
Roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Wish you good luck this year again, and we look
Thank you,
forward-
Stephen. May I just ask a question? I spoke with
Sure.
Mark about this a week or two ago. In terms of the parking moratorium, which thank you very much. Thank you for all the yeses to passing these issues. But Mark and I spoke about the parking on Railroad Street for the Biff weekend being taken away. Can I understand if that's, because that, we have to really understand that because it will create a lot of chaos again for that exact reason I just was telling Eric about.
So what Kelly is so pleasantly asking is that we close Railroad Street.
That you do
What-
not.
Well, no.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, is that we normally would close Railroad Street for outdoor dining and other entertainment. And she is wondering if we would consider not closing it
For that
How's-
weekend.
for that weekend. How's the board feel about that?
Well, it's 2 nights. I guess it's right. It's the Friday and the Saturday. That's what you guys close it down for, those 2 nights?
Yes,
Okay.
unless it's a holiday, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
I hate to
How would
go
that
down-
hurt you again?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Thank you. It's Garfield. How would that hurt you again if it was indeed, if it was?
Well, Garfield, thank you. It's sort of going back to Eric's. So we load theaters. We load 3 theaters at the triplex at 3:30, 4:30. We load the Mahawi at 4 o'clock. And then we load them again at 6:30, 7. Again, the Mahawi at 7. If we're closing the street down at 5 or 6, all of our patrons are in films at those times. So I mean, I can't tell you I think it could hurt the film festival to such a degree of patrons saying, you know what, I can't, I have to move my car. I have to reassociate. I have to get out of a movie earlier. It's just a very, we've never, that would be a whole new wrinkle for the festival, and it would be very, very difficult for the festival to deal with. The amount of angry customers, I can tell you from just history in the town, we've ironed all of these things out in over the last 16 years. But this was a new one that came, and I guess I'm just asking to honor the fact that we've been in the town for 16 years and that it could really damage the festival going forward.
Yeah, I would hate to close down another event. which is what you're asking us to do.
Yeah.
For this, and it's 20 parking spaces. They're going to be very clear as people are parking when they have to be out. So it's not like one of your patrons will park there thinking they can leave it overnight. Every person who drives.
Well, it's not overnight. It's not overnight, and it's you know, they're coming downtown. They're going from film to film, whether between the Mahawi or the triplex. So they would have to get out of their, let's say, you know, their 12:30, 1 o'clock film. They would have to then move their car because they're going back into a 4 o'clock film that's not going to get out till 6 o'clock. So you have, you know, patrons needing to reorient where their cars are. It's going to be full because, you know, Great Barrington's very full for the Biff weekend. So you're taking away, we already need those slots, and you're taking them away, and then having patrons having to reorient where they're going and get back to their next film. You know, maybe they have 45 minutes to do that. Plus they want to grab a sandwich or, you know, do something else. So it's, I just don't, you know, I mean, you know, Karen Allen sits on my board, so I've had a long discussion with her about, you know, her business. It does very, very well during Biff, and, you know, she's concerned about it. I mean, she's about that in general, but anyway, I'm just asking as someone.
In
run a
general,
festival.
with Biff and parking with so many people, when do you guys hand out flyers of all the parking options in town as far as the
Always.
side streets and
Mhm.
the new parking spots we have on the other end of town? And
We
just
do, but, you
promoting
know,
them to walk into town, so even if they're people that aren't there for Biff can get in and out, just opening up parking in general, especially if patrons for Biff are there all day in town, you know, if they could maybe park on the outer sections and walk in for the day.
I mean, we absolutely do. We always have. We've always had that. We've worked with the chamber. We've worked with the town very closely. We've always done that. Like I said, we actually have come to a very good point with our patrons, I would say, over the last 8-9 years. It's very seamless. There are very few problems. People aren't complaining. Everyone can seem, you know, to have a place and all that kind of thing. You know, obviously our patrons are older, so they don't necessarily want to walk from Prairie Whale necessarily, or it's at night. You know, they're getting out of movies at 9:30. So I'm just.
Other comments? Lee, go ahead.
So I'm a big fan of Biff, as you know, and I'm also a big fan of Berkshire Busk. And I think that there is a way to continue to have Berkshire Busk have the ability to close the road down for those 2 nights and prepare Biff attendees for the change in the parking. So I do understand.
With Gene didn't seem that he was going to do much that weekend. He actually spoke with me and Lauren, which was another sort of reason why I'm curious, you know, just to shut it down. He said there wasn't, like, they are doing some stuff, but it's not a lot. And I said, you know, could you even use, you know, since we're essentially, you know, we've got the tent, you know, maybe one of the, you know, you could have music outside of, you know, the town hall tent area, which he was totally open to. So.
Kelly, I promoted Gene, so Gene, go ahead.
Oh, hey, what Kelly is right that we're planning to do more. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're planning to do more activities in July and August. On that Friday and Saturday night, we obviously would have some kind of music playing out front of SoCo and probably something up the street. I guess I would argue around, I'll make this the argument that having the street closed down and having outdoor dining creates more of a festival atmosphere for the film festival. I know that for the last 16 years, you haven't done it that way, but I would actually say that I think your patrons, notwithstanding the fact that some of them will have to park elsewhere, actually emptying out of the triplex and the theaters, walking around downtown would actually make a much more enjoyable, much more welcoming environment than a bunch of cars parked on Railroad Street for the few people. You're probably talking about maybe 10 people that are going to be lucky enough to find a spot on the street. So my argument is not about Berkshire Busk. It's about what is the environment for our guests that are coming in from out of town who are going to see what Great Barrington is all about. And I would argue that making it more welcoming by having a walking street is a good idea.
I'm just telling you, I'm going to deal with a huge headache. I've done this long enough to know. I've gone down this parking with a lot of issues. And we have had a seamless, very festival oriented atmosphere. I'm telling you, it is going to be a huge issue for me, Lauren, and the Biff office.
So Garfield?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could work out something with the co-op. The co-op is pretty darn close to the theater. If there's something you could work out with them and park in their area where the co-op is. You know the co-op in relation to the movie theater, probably about what, a couple 100 feet?
Yeah, it's about 3 blocks, let's say.
Maybe.
So let's do this.
The tribe, yeah. To the tribe.
It's clear we're not going to negotiate this tonight.
Yeah.
Let's come back. It's 2 weeks when we meet again, Kelly. And in those 2 weeks, can we try to, meet? I'll be glad to meet with you, Mark, Jean, and see if we can come to some sort of a resolution on this. Will that?
Happy to. Yep, that would be.
Let's not close the door on it, but let's see if we can do something in the next 2 weeks to do this.
Yeah, I'd like not to close the door on it because it's important to us.
I can hear it's important, but I can also see both sides of it. So let's see if we can figure out some sort of compromise that will work.
Great. I appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank you all so much for all the efforts. I appreciate it.
thank you. Next is Great Barrington's Arts Market. Molly de Saint Andre and Kristen Cantor, managers in the Great Barrington Farmers Market, for permission to close Church Street between Main Street and School Street on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. beginning May 7th to October 29th, 2022 for the Arts Market season, and from May 7th to November 12th, 2022 for the Farmers Market. Go ahead, give us a little introduction. I think Kristen is on the line.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, and I'm here with the Great Barrington Farmers Market. Maeve Dillon is also here. If she holds her space bar, she should be able to unmute as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm the manager for the Great Barrington Arts Market. Maeve is the manager for the Farmers Market. And as in years past, since I feel like we've been there for at least 6 years, time seems to fly by. The Arts Market works in conjunction with the Farmers Market, opening our season on May 7th. And we run in conjunction with each other through the end of October, and then the farmers do remain inside the parking lot for the next 2 weeks into November. The Arts Market is a rotating lineup of 12 artists each week, offering locals and tourists alike the opportunity to browse and shop locally made and regionally made art. And the Farmers Market, obviously everybody knows all about the Great Barrington Farmers Market and how long of an institution they've been in the town. And so once again, we're asking to do the same thing we've done in the previous years, which is close, put some cones up at the top of the street. It still allows for access to the Lee parking lot for the customers in the morning. And it allows us to keep that corridor after the Lee parking lot to where the TD parking lot entrance is, closed off and safe for both customers and the vendors who are selling at the Arts Market and also operating in the Farmers Market.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant permission to close Church Street between Main Street and School Street on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. beginning May 7th to October 29th, 2022 for the Arts Market season, and from May 7th through November 12th, 2022 for the Farmers Market, to Great Barrington Arts Market, care of Molly de Saint Andre and Kristen Cantor, managers of the Great Barrington Farmers Market.
Second.
Any discussion?
What days are they speaking about?
It's Saturday.
Just so it would be every Saturday, not the whole.
No, it's every
time.
Saturday.
Just every-
It's
okay,
every Saturday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. Good luck. We look forward to the beginning of the farmer's market season.
Thank you very much for your support. We always appreciate it so much.
Yes,
Thank
thank you very much.
Okay, now is when we start moving things around a little bit. There are 6 panelists and 63 attendees right now.
Hmm.
Just people who are keeping track. So we're going to move under new business, the American Rescue Plan Act funding recommendation from staff to now. Mark, do you want to present that?
Sure. I'm just going to go ahead and promote Sue and Chris real quick. Okay, so they should be all set. So I'll get us started. In your packet for this evening was an executive summary from staff on this topic. Great Barrington's share of this federal funding is $2,075,908. And our recommendation for tonight is that you consider committing the first half, or $1,036,000 of this funding. That represents the portion that we've received to date, or very close to anyway, as presented in that summary. So I just wanted to mention before we get into the details of our recommendation that we received numerous requests for funding. You will recall that we issued a survey. We spent some time digging through those results and shared that feedback with the board and the public several months ago. So we considered many approaches throughout the past several months as we talked about this on the staff level. But ultimately, we decided to ask that you direct a significant percentage of these funds toward the biggest problem facing the town, and that's affordable housing options. So if you turn to your executive summary, on the back side of that, you'll see 4 recommendations. The first is affordable housing for $850,000. The second one is emergency signage for the fire departments at $40,000. Third is increased staff hours for our health department for $10,000. And then GB's share of a replacement vehicle for the Southern Berkshire ambulance garage, and that's at $136,000. So again, a total of $1,036,000. And that would leave you with a similar amount of funding for round 2. So we're here, staff's here, we're happy to answer any questions that you have. And I guess the last ask I have for you before we move into discussion is that if you do approve these expenditures and these categories, we would ask that you allow staff to work as a team and issue this funding as appropriate. So I'll stop
Lee,
there.
Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, out of an abundance of caution, I believe I should probably recuse myself, seeing that some of the discussion is centered around affordable housing, and I'm the development director of a affordable housing agency. So I'm going to be recusing myself.
Thank you, Lee.
No,
Other
excuse-
board members?
Well, I have a question. Do I need to recuse myself being a member of the affordable housing? Even though that's where we'd like the money to go?
Not being a lawyer, this came up once when I was on a library trustee. Since you're not serving your own interests on either board, you're serving the public interest on both. As a library trustee, I didn't need to, and we dealt with library stuff since you're not a paid employee, but I'm not a lawyer.
You don't play one on TV either.
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't,
so-
so I don't know the answer.
Yeah,
Sounds
do you-
like you don't need
It's
to.
your choice, Garfield.
Well, I'd like not to recuse myself.
That's your choice.
Okay, my choice.
Would you like me to break down what we see as falling into the affordable housing category? Maybe that will give you a little more.
Yeah, I
information.
think that would be helpful for everyone.
Okay, so in that category, what we see as potential projects would be grants that create housing for various projects in town, rental assistance programs, utility assistance programs, and then funding for daycare assistance programs. Sue or Chris, did I leave anything out?
No, that sounds right.
Eric, go ahead.
Yes, thank you guys for all the work on this, and these are all good items, but I know we talked about it before, but I just didn't see it here, and as far as the second round goes, what's the target date for that? There is a certain time frame that all the money had to be allocated for, correct, or?
Yeah, we're well within the time limits at this point. Funds need to be obligated by December 31st of 2024, and projects need to be completed by December 31st of 2026.
Great.
Any other-
Yeah,
Yes.
just a question. You said the ambulance is our portion, so other towns are kicking in proportionately, or?
Yeah, in that category, every town that is a member town of Southern Berkshire Ambulance is receiving the same request, different dollar amounts, but the same request.
Okay.
Mark,
Go ahead.
yes, when you broke that down for us with the affordable housing, all that is you're speaking about is 850,000. And those things that you mentioned will all be done with 850,000.
As much as we can with $850,000, right? We don't have any specific projects identified at this time, but we'd like to have the funding in place so that we can make those decisions as projects develop.
Well, let me ask you this, and you tell me if I'm out of line. Can the affordable housing have $1 million?
Garfield, it's our decision. This is a recommendation from the staff. There's more money to be decided on, but the recommendation of the staff is these 4 items. And there's $1,036,000. So we would have to cut the ambulance. We'd have to cut all but 36,000 from the other 3.
Well, I wouldn't want to do that.
You
Then
could,
money appropriated in the second round, I would not cut.
Yeah,
the-
it's, we haven't gotten the recommendation for the second round yet.
Okay, so we should possibly garner some more, because we had talked about it, and yeah, 850, what we were trying to do and garner things didn't seem like enough, I'm sorry to say.
So let me get a few public comments, only because their hands are up. I don't want to go too long in this. It's a long meeting, but I think it's important to have some very brief public comments. Plus, I want to get Chris Peoples. So Leo Stemp, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so Steve, what I want to do is I want to clarify for myself maybe what you might call the rules of citizen speak time. The first question I have is, are questions allowed if they're addressed to the chair of the select board?
For citizen speak time, we do not answer questions usually unless they're procedural questions. If they're questions that need to be answered, we'll put them on to the next agenda.
So the reason why I ask that is because, the idea is for to have citizen participation in
I'm taking
government and
your
government in general.
participation right now about ARPA.
Well, I'm sorry?
Right now, I just recognize you about ARPA.
Oh, I just wanted to speak in general in the citizen speak time. Am I speaking at the right time?
No, citizen speak is at the end of the agenda.
Okay, sorry, that's
No,
what
and you'll be allowed to speak there on anything except short-term rentals. And that's
okay. So
and that's for legal reasons. That's not for any other reasons. And
Yeah.
there will be a time to speak on short-term rentals.
So sorry, I just want to speak on general citizen speak time. I'm speaking at the wrong time. So
That's fine.
I'll
That'll
put my
be-
hand down now.
No, that's fine. No problem. We enjoy hearing you. Okay, Chris Peoples.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. So I'm a police officer in Great Barrington, and just want to read a quick statement that we've come up with on this issue. On behalf of the Great Barrington Police Association, we thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak at this meeting. We understand that the board is left with tough decisions on how to best use the money given to it by the federal government through ARPA. We would like the board to consider some of the money to be used towards hazard pay for the frontline emergency workers who work through the pandemic, keeping our community running and safe. The federal government issued guidelines for how this ARPA money is to be spent, with one category being hazard pay for first responders. By allowing these funds to be used for this purpose, the federal government has recognized the sacrifices that public safety employees and first responders have made during this difficult time. As the federal ruling states, hazard pay is designed to compensate workers that, by virtue of their employment, were forced to take on additional burdens and make great personal sacrifices as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The first responders in this community did just that, did day in, day out. The firefighters, ambulance personnel, and police, among others, showed up to work every day, responding to people and calls, some knowingly having COVID and many being an unknown. Unlike other professions, emergency service cannot always keep their distance from people, often having to be close, hands-on interactions with limited protection. There was an everyday risk for our emergency services to their own health, along with the risk to their families by potentially bringing it home to them. Unlike many other professions, when members of the Great Barrington Police Department tested positive for COVID-19, the other members were forced to work extra shifts in order to continue to protect the community. Many officers were forced to work 16-hour shifts with no days off until we were back to full staff. We were unable to close our doors or work remotely. Additionally, it has been discussed during COVID that mental health crisis rose, and we saw this locally, leaving our local emergency services, the police and the ambulance personnel, to respond to their needs when mental health professionals were harder for these people to be in contact with. Several communities across the state have already recognized the sacrifices made by first responders by issuing hazard pay, including the towns of Ashby, Brewster, Granby, Lee, Oxford, Southampton, Sturbridge, Sutton, Ware, and Wayland, just to name a few. I name these towns because they are comparable to Great Barrington in population and public safety employee numbers. We wish to point out the exceptional work of all our emergency services and essential workers who kept the community moving, and hope that this board will at least consider this in the decision of the ARPA money. We also wish to express our desire to be a part of the conversation of how to best utilize these funds going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate your comments. Board members, any other comments? Yeah, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I just want to make one more plug in, and whether it's for the second round or not, I do, you know, number 4 is water, sewer infrastructure, and I would like to see some of the money allocated at some point for whether it's water filtration or something for Housatonic Waterworks members or something along that line, as far as the customers and water filtration or something set aside, whether it's this round or the following, just to help ease the burden on that. So.
Thank you, Eric. Other board members? Do I have a motion?
Yeah, a motion to endorse the recommendation of the staff.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. So realize that there have been a couple other requests made tonight, and there is a second round, so we're not ignoring them. We're just working on the first round right now. Discussion from the board. Seeing none, it's a roll call vote. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous.
I would like to just quickly say it's a difficult decision. The staff had to do the heavy lifting, but there are an awful lot of places we could use this money, and there's only so much.
Thank you. Okay, moving ahead, we'll start with public hearings. Just want to make sure someone's here for Rushank Patel for iShree-3 LLC, 229 Stockbridge Road for a wine and malt package store license. There is someone here.
Yes, I am here.
Okay. And let's see. So, does someone from staff just want to go over the procedure tonight? This is a public hearing, correct?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, this is a public hearing for our last remaining beer and wine license here in Great Barrington. Again, I just want to remind you, you're not obligated to issue it. This is completely up to the board, and we did verify that with ABCC.
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open the public hearing for Mr. Patel for I Shri 3 LLC at 229 Stockbridge Road for a wine and malt package store license.
Second.
Before I get the roll call vote, Garfield, go ahead.
Yes, I've been informed by the ethics committee that I need to recuse myself. So I'm doing that.
Thank you, Garfield. Do a roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Do we have a presentation of what's going to happen, what you're requesting? Is there anyone who would like to make some sort of presentation?
I'm sorry, this is regarding the license.
Yes.
I don't have a presentation for that as of this moment.
Okay, what's the board's pleasure?
I'd like to discuss.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. You know, someone might call me old fashioned, but I feel that having alcohol sold at a gas station sends the wrong signals out. And I feel that if Great Barrington has one more license, I feel that having it go to an establishment that either has licensed, trained employees that are working primarily with alcohol, or in a food establishment would be preferable. And I also feel that having a gas station, at least I know from my experience having teenagers, you know, when you have a convenience store and a gas station, it does draw in teenagers coming from, let's say, sports, coming in for Gatorades and so forth, and having such a small area that I think, again, it sends us a wrong signal out. And I'm thinking that if there's anything that we can do to help mitigate drink driving or teen alcohol consumption, or make it easier for law enforcement, my wish would be to not give it to an establishment that is a gas station.
Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I think my thoughts are in line with Lee's. When I think it's the direct correlation with the gas. It makes me think of impulse buying as you're walking in to pay for your gasoline, and you know, then leading to influence driving, under the influence driving. And yeah, for any lack of word, it's just the two need to be separated for me in a fashion. I just don't feel comfortable with it, and I don't feel that it's fitting for Great Barrington personally.
My problem is a little different. I don't disagree with either of you, but this is a pretty serious license to give out. As you remember, I think it was maybe either the Aberdales or Domainies showed us 60 fake driver's license that they had confiscated. And there's no presentation tonight. I know nothing about security. I know nothing about training of employees. I know nothing about how much square footage is being allocated to this. I would go into this totally blind. And I tend not, if I'm going to do something really dumb, it's not going to be what I know ahead of time. After the fact, I might find out I did it, but there's absolutely, they're not telling us anything. And this is a serious license to hand out.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Can I say something on that?
Of course.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I don't have like a presentation, but I do have some. I am tips certified. I do manage other businesses around Massachusetts that have that are gas stations that also have beer and wine in them. And we do take great precaution. I understand that you're concerned about drinking and driving and teenagers and stuff. And none of my other businesses have ever been in any violation of serving teenagers or serving anyone under the age of 21. And I have in this area, in Stockbridge, I also have another gas station which has the mobile. It also has beer and wine in it. So just in regards to that, if you guys are concerned that
We lost him somehow. Let's see if we can get him back.
Steve, can I talk?
Yes, while
Anyway.
I'm trying to get him back, yes.
All right, yeah, I had some of the same concerns, and then when I really thought about it, you know, we just gave a license out right near there. So if one wants to stop on the highway and grab some beer and keep driving, we just gave one to Marketplace, which is right nearby. You know, we didn't really do a background check when Aberdale's transferred theirs. It was similar to this. Person said, I've got other ones, and so I know how to do this. It struck me as odd at first, but when I thought about it, I couldn't come up with a really good reason not to, which I think we need.
sorry, I did just get disconnected.
Yeah, go back. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's just what I wanted to mention is that I do have another location in the area and also in Massachusetts, in the Uxbridge area also. And neither of those gas stations have ever gotten a violation, and we obviously don't serve under 21, and we make sure that all of our employees know to card everyone. So, and I am tip certified. So just those few points.
Thank you. Any other discussion, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, just to echo a little bit from what I said earlier, and also Eric's comment about convenience stores. You know, generally when you're in a convenience store, you know, you go in to drink or eat something that is often eaten in the car. And so that would go for, you know, a cold drink or a pack of chips. And I think that if we have cold beer there, the tendency might be to grab a beer with it and really encourage drink driving, which is the opposite of what we want to do. And again, I'm thinking of our law enforcement, you know, having an extra place such as a convenience store, gas station to patrol. I think it makes harder for them. And again, I do worry about the lack of oversight because it is, you know, a gas station. So I'm just, you know, rather than having staff members that are specifically trained in selling alcohol or food, I hesitate at granting this license.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to deny the permit for, sorry, I just lost my thing. For Mr. Patel for iShree 3 LLC 229 Stockbridge Road for a wine and malt package store license.
I'll second that.
Do you need to close the public hearing?
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mark. I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. And Lee, your motion?
Okay, I make a motion to deny the malt package store license for Mr. Patel for iShree 3 LLC 229 Stockbridge Road.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion. So I was on the fence going into this because although I have some concerns, I think it's a good operation, but I really have concerns when we weren't. And Ed, I hear what you say, but this is new to Great Barrington. The location where the marketplace is had beer and wine before. We know what the operation is. The Aberdales, when that changed hands, Joe was going to continue as manager. So I kind of knew that that had a good reputation. This is new to us. This is, you know, having there isn't one in town, a convenience store, or a gas station. So I guess personally, I wanted to hear more about how security was going to be handled and et cetera. And I just didn't hear it. It wasn't only the gas station. I'm not totally against that. I would have to really think about it. So that's just my own opinion. So any other discussion? Roll call vote. Eric,
Aye,
you vote.
I'm vote.
Okay, so let's be clear. This was to deny, so you're voting yes to deny. Oh, it's
That's correct.
confusing. Okay, just
That's
want to make
correct.
sure everyone understands for the people keeping score at home. Ed,
No.
thank you. Lee
Aye.
and I. It fails. Well, it passes 3-1, which means the license failed. Okay, moving ahead. Need a motion to continue the special permit application from Southern Berkshire Chamber of Commerce. Betsy Andrus, Executive Director. The request by the chamber has been 3 months. I took out my calendar and said July 11th. That's approximately 3 months from now. Betsy, does that work for you?
Yep, that's fine for me.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
I make a motion to continue the special permit application from the Southern Berkshire Chamber of Commerce for 3 months. Is that?
Yeah, for July 11th by either in person or a virtual meeting.
Okay.
I don't know what it will be by then. Chris,
The motion should have a time and date certain.
yes,
Okay. So it's July 11th, Steve. Okay.
July 11th at 6.
At 6 p.m. Okay, I'll revise that. I make a motion to continue the special permit application from the Southern Berkshire Chamber of Commerce until July 11th at 6 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye,
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem, Betsy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next is a special permit application from Mead Cannabis LLC. David M. Ulian, Vicente Sederberg LLP, Prudential Tower, 800 Boylston Street, 26th floor, Boston, Mass. 02199, for marijuana cultivation and transportation establishment in an industrial zone at 964 Main Street, Parcel B, Great Barrington. Application is filed in accordance with sections 3.1.4 C13, 7.18, and 10.4 of the zoning bylaw. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Yes, I make a motion to open the public hearing for Mead Cannabis LLC.
Do I have a second? Second from Ed. Roll call vote. Garfield.
This is just to open a discussion.
Yes.
I'm gonna say no.
Eric,
aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. So, Chris, do you just want to go over, or do you want me to go over how far we plan to go tonight? And then we're not ready to vote yet tonight. So,
If I may just interrupt you and correct the record, I did not vote for open discussion. You said it was unanimous. It was not.
I'm sorry, did I say that? Yeah, you're right, Garfield. It's the first time in 22 years opening a public hearing hasn't been unanimous. I messed up. Sorry. It was 4-1. Thank you.
Oh, well, then I apologize. I understood that we were just speaking of on this one thing that we were talking about. And so
No, you were perfectly in your right.
I don't want to change my mind. Thank you.
No. Go ahead, Chris.
Sure. Hi, Chris Rembold speaking. And I know Mark has promoted the applicants team onto the panel, so they'll be able to give you a full presentation of what they're looking to do on South Main Street there. And tonight, I think it would be best for the board to listen to the presentation, take questions and comments from the audience and of course, board members. And review for yourselves the special permit criteria of section 10.4. Use that as a way to think about the permit and think about the proposal and ensure that you have all the information you need before you leave here tonight, and certainly before you close the public hearing. You may well get far enough to close tonight. I think that'll just depend on what you hear and whether or not you have any more questions for the applicant. So,
Thank you. So we'll start with the presentation from the applicant.
Steve, may I just jump in quickly?
Of course.
I have a list of presenters and a few names I'm not seeing in the participant pool. So if you're here and under a different name, just raise your hand and we'll go ahead and recognize you.
I'm not seeing anyone. So if you need anyone else to be recognized, just let us know. So you can start with the presentation.
All right, this is David Julian. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I have a presentation prepared. Would it be possible to share my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Give us just a second.
Okay.
Mark, tell us when you're ready.
Okay, I'm just gonna, just bear with me here.
Yep, no problem.
Gonna move him back to the participant pool and then promote him as a
Panelist.
panelist. Okay, should be good to go.
You should be all set to share the screen. Was it David?
David, right?
You've been promoted to panelist. Just unmute yourself.
Okay, I got it. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
I believe it says host disabled participant screen sharing. That's the message I'm getting.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Should be good now.
Okay, can you see my screen?
We can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is David Julian. I'm an attorney at the law firm Vicente Cedarberg LLP, and I'm here on behalf of Mead Cannabis LLC, seeking to operate a marijuana establishment at 964 Main Street. I'm here with the founders of the company, Moshe Razi and Roy Musaf, as well as representatives from Fussin O'Neill, the engineering firm, as well as Ryan Connor, our architect, and Daniel Linsky, our security consultant. So the company is a Massachusetts-based company seeking to operate a licensed Tier 2 cultivation and transporter establishment. We're requesting a special permit from the Select Board as well as site plan review approval from the Planning Board. We are also seeking a host community agreement from the Select Board, which would then enable us to apply for our marijuana establishment licenses from the CCC. The co-founder and manager, Moshe Razi, is a Massachusetts resident with a Bachelor of Science in Plant Sciences from UMass and has a decade of experience in cultivation and sustainable agriculture. So over the past 9 months, we've been working our way through the process. Just a couple dates to point out, we held a community outreach meeting in September of last year. We've also met with the police chief who's done a site visit. We've also had meetings before the Board of Health and the Planning Board who voted to positive recommendation to the Select Board. We also reached out to Conservation Commission who confirmed that they had no jurisdictional issues or concerns with the project. So the operations proposed is an indoor marijuana cultivation that will be producing marijuana flower for wholesale sale to other marijuana establishments in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, as well as a secured transporter establishment. There's going to be no manufacturing, retail sales, home delivery, or social consumption at the site. Samples of marijuana will be tested by a licensed independent testing lab for cannabinoid content and contaminants before they are sold. This Cannabis Control Commission has very strict regulations on a variety of operations, and we will be operating in strict compliance with those regulations. One of those regulations is a comprehensive security system that Will feature video surveillance in all areas where there will be marijuana, as well as access control to the facility and alarms. All marijuana waste will be ground up and mixed with other waste to render it unusable, and then it will be securely stored and then transported by a professional waste hauler to a facility permitted by the DEP. The Cannabis Control Commission also has strict energy efficiency and equipment standards that we would be in compliance with, and we would be meeting those based off of our LED lights, auto-controlled HVAC, as well as engagement with a power broker, which we have proposed to use Early Bird Power for energy. This slide shows our proposed nutrients that we'll be using for the cultivation. It's essentially a blend of natural minerals and organic extracts, and no pesticides are permitted for cultivation in Massachusetts. So there will be no pesticides or other harmful chemicals used during the cultivation process. So the facility is an existing 7,500 square foot warehouse at 964 Main Street, parcel B, which is set back from Route 7. You can see it here. It's in the light industrial zoning district, which is designated for marijuana cultivation facilities in the zoning bylaw. It's not within 200 feet of a school or near any residences. And this project essentially involves an interior renovation of an existing commercial warehouse. We have a number of waiver requests that we are seeking as well. First is a waiver of the requirement of having a marijuana establishment license from the CCC. We are unable to apply for that until we have the host community agreement. So we are prepared to apply for that license as soon as we receive the host community agreement and the special permit. We requested a waiver of submitting a very detailed plan showing all of the security details. We have that plan prepared, but we did not submit that with our public special permit application for security reasons, but our security consultant has reviewed that with the police chief as well. For items 3 and 4, we're requesting a waiver for a drainage plan and landscaping plan. Again, this is an interior renovation project of an existing commercial space. There's not going to be any sort of new construction or major exterior modifications that would impact the current drainage or landscaping. So we're requesting waivers of those requirements. There's also a deviation we're requesting from the Route 7 landscaping requirement in the zoning bylaw, which would require the planting of 2 trees on site. Again, the zoning bylaw allows the special permit granting authority to grant a deviation for that. This is an interior renovation project, and it's just not practicable to plant 2 trees on the site. We've also requested a waiver of the traffic impact assessment, a traffic study, and that waiver was already granted by the planning board. So this slide shows the special permit criteria from the zoning bylaw, gives you an overview of how we believe we satisfy all of the criteria from meeting community needs. Marijuana has been approved by the voters of the Commonwealth, and as well as the residents of Great Barrington, who voted to allow for marijuana cultivation in the zoning bylaw. We're going to contribute to economic development for the town, and there'll be an HCA, a host community agreement, that would provide for community impact fees to the town. There's sufficient parking and access from Route 7 for the site. We have a secure loading and unloading area. We have an estimated about 10 employees who will be on site. And we have been in contact with Mass DOT, who confirmed that no access permits would be required because there are no traffic concerns for this facility. There's existing utilities currently at the site. Town water and town sewer are sufficient for the proposed use. There's existing propane on site, and currently there's existing access for emergency services if necessary. This property is zoned industrial. It's properly zoned and not near any residences. And we're not seeking to modify the current exterior of the facility, which is already fits well with the neighborhood character. We'll also have a very comprehensive security plan as well. We don't anticipate there'll be any impacts on the natural environment. Again, no new construction or exterior modifications are proposed, and we have developed a variety of measures to prevent odor, noise, and light nuisances, which we can get into a little bit later on in the presentation. And in terms of fiscal impact, this is going to create positive economic development for the town in terms of job creation. And we don't anticipate any negative impact on town services. And to the extent that there could be any impacts on the town, the host community agreement would intentionally, specifically provide for community impact fee payments to the town to mitigate any potential costs from the operations. Just wanted to quickly point out that there is harmony with the master plan as well for a number of different reasons, including utilizing existing commercial space and maintaining the Route 7 corridor and protecting scenic views and natural resources, economic development, creating new jobs and retaining a talented workforce for the town. This is essentially an agricultural business, so we will be creating a local agricultural business to provide product for other local businesses as well as other businesses around the Commonwealth. And we will also be utilizing a variety of energy efficiency measures from our LED lights to our HVAC equipment and drip irrigation to reduce energy and water consumption. So I'd like to turn it over now, if possible, to John Allard from Plesson O'Neill to run through some of the site plan documents, if that's possible.
Yes, absolutely.
So John, if you're able to, just feel free to let me know when you'd like to turn the slide.
Great, thanks, David. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is John Allard. I'm with Plesson O'Neill. We were responsible for the engineering and site development side of this project, although there wasn't very much of it. This map right now, the drawing you see north is actually to the right there. There are three buildings, main building structures shown here. We're going to be focusing on the one in the rear of the site. David, if you want to switch to the next plan, this will be a little bit easier to look at here. So the main access to the site is off of South Main Street. It's a shared driveway between all three buildings. We are not doing very much to the site. We are adding some new gravel areas, mainly to expand the parking and to make the loading area more accessible. There are one handicap spot shown at the main entrance to the building. We are proposing a new concrete sidewalk there for ADA accessibility. The plan shows 8 parking spaces in total. The thought was there was going to be 10 employees, and per regulation, we would need five spaces. We're showing 8 right now. To the north side of the building, which is right on the screen, that would be the loading area, the secured loading area for offload of product and loading of product. That's also where the secured dumpsters will be on that concrete pad in the back. Again, everything is going to be secured, locked. The loading area is surrounded by a vinyl privacy fence, brown in nature, to kind of not really stand out, but to kind of blend in with its surroundings. There are a couple of utility pads for the mechanics going on the rear of the building. That would be the west side. And then there's 2 utility pads to the north of the building as well. If you want to go to the next slide there, David. This slide just shows we had to remove a utility pole in the center of that loading area, and from the utility pole to the northeast of the building, bury that and bring it to the building that way. We can go on to the next one. I think I'm going to just quickly go over this. I'm not an architect, and I think Ryan Connor might be on the phone. He'll be able to address this further. But this just shows the typical building floor plan and layout. Obviously, the main entrance is on the bottom there, and then the loading area to the right. You can go ahead and change that. For the traffic and parking, I mentioned earlier, enlarging the gravel parking area slightly to get a little bit more parking in there. Again, we're estimating about 10 employees, so with 5 required parking spaces. That we've proposed 8 spaces, 1 handicap spot. We talked about the loading area. That's going to be surrounded by a secure brown colored vinyl fence to blend in with the natural environment. There's safe and convenient access to the site from Main Street. It's very, the sight lines up and down South Main Street there are very, very good. We've been in contact with Mass DOT, and they have confirmed that there is no access permit required because it didn't trip the total trip generation threshold. And I believe mentioned earlier by David, the waiver granted by Planning Board. Water for the site. We'll be using municipal water. We were in touch with Peter Marks, superintendent, over at the water department, and he confirmed that they can supply the water needed for this. We're proposing a controlled drip irrigation system with a reverse osmosis water treatment. That reverse osmosis will remove the mineral hardness, chlorine reduction, and other particulates. This method, the controlled drip method, uses 30 to 50% less water than conventional method. 10% of that water will be consumed by plants, 20% will drain from the soil, and then 70% will be evaporated, transpirated, and removed by dehumidifiers. We anticipate about 3,870 gallons per day usage for water. We give every attempt to recycle whatever water runoff there is to be reused. And I believe the maximum anticipated demand for the sanitary sewer for the employees is about 150 gallons per day. This site will be utilizing the existing municipal sewer as well. The estimated demand is 3,711 gallons per day. This includes domestic wastewater from like the bathrooms, irrigation, water runoff, dehumidification, and the municipal water filtration for the plant irrigation water. We were in touch with Bill Ingram from the wastewater superintendent and has no concerns about the sewer demand as well. I think that's where I leave off. I don't know who is going to take this,
Yeah.
David.
Yeah, is Ryan, are you on? Ryan Connor, are you able to?
I am. I'll jump in
Okay.
here. Thank you, David. This is Ryan Connor from Connor Design, the architect. You know, at a base level, good neighbors don't smell, so we're serious about our odor mitigation. And we have our odor consultant on the phone here if we need to get deep into the weeds. But we've proposed a solution of both containing the smell by building a building within a building that keeps all of the air inside of the grow rooms themselves. And as a belt and suspenders approach, we are also providing the MT2 unit, which is a molecular filtration unit that happens outside of the grow room. So if a door opens or any air escapes, we molecularly filter that air before it leaves the building within the corridors of the buildings themselves. You know, one of the really important things about these carbon filtration solutions is that the carbon gets worn out and it needs proper maintenance. And so one of the advantages of using the bioscientific solutions is that they have a serious ongoing maintenance, preventative maintenance plan by checking in, monitoring the carbon, making sure that it's still doing its job a handful of times a year. That way, our odor mitigation is as good as it possibly can be. In addition to that, we have air curtains at our doors. That way, when the door opens to the grow room or to the outdoors, say for the loading dock, then there's a way to block air from moving from one space to another by using an air curtain. Sometimes you see this sort of thing used at a kitchen or a loading dock in an industrial facility. Slide, please. This is an overview of the floor plan itself. At this scale, it's slightly hard to see, but you can see those little rectangles are the Bayer Scientific MT units themselves. So our odor is contained within the grow room itself, the flowering rooms, and that's the big room that has all the long shoebox rectangles in it. And then any air that leaks out of that room by opening of doors, because the rooms themselves are sealed, we install these units called the MT2s to absorb any odor that gets into our corridor, again, before any of it gets outdoors. And then we have a similar product installed in our vestibule, because obviously people will be coming in and out of the building by way of the vestibule. Slide, please. Although this is our building, it's intended to be slightly generic. The picture on the left, the blue wall that's at a 90-degree angle, that's the existing wall of the building. And one way to think of these kinds of grow facilities is thinking of them as refrigeration units in restaurants, which is exactly how we build them, out of these insulated wall panels. So you end up within a building, both from a wall point of view, and on the right side, you can see those horizontal lines. That's what we call a lid or a top. And so the entire room has been sealed from edge to edge with a vapor seal containing all the plants and plant odor inside that room. Those purple gadgets are the same things that we just looked at in the previous slide, that are the MT units for any odor that leaks out of the room by way of opening the door as people service the plants. And then lastly, that little horizontal one on the left is an air curtain over a door. That way, anytime we're communicating from space to space, the air stays where it's supposed to. Slide. David, I'll take lighting since I'm already right here. We use all LED lighting. Lux 645 watt lights is a very commonly used and successful LED fixture. The magic of it is that it's super energy efficient. It's also on the Massachusetts DLS list, meaning it's already been pre-rated by the utility as being an energy efficient fixture. We also have a handful of other lights on the job. We have a light in the parking area for the parking lot up on a pole. And we have some exterior door lights as you exit the building, both for the emergency doors and the loading dock doors. Those doors are all what we call shielded fixtures, or fixtures that don't have light pollution, meaning the light goes down, not out, to, again, be good neighbors to make sure our light doesn't leak from our property to somebody else's property. Slide. John, I'll take this, jump in if you think I'm going anywhere in the wrong place, but this is a photometric plan. So we do these for our light fixtures. This is the exterior. So we're calculating the amount of foot candles on property from the one overhead light at the in the parking lot. From a noise point of view, we don't have that much equipment. We have interior, we have TerraBloom fans. Those are fans that help move the air around within the grow facilities themselves, which are 30 to 52 decibels. But again, that's in the building. The bulk of the cooling itself comes from Mitsubishi mini splits. Some people call them Slim Jims. They're the same kinds of things you see on homes where you get these white suitcase looking gadgets on the outside of the building, then the fan on the inside of the building. Very common kind of unit. In our case, These Mitsu split units have a maximum of 51 decibels outdoors. That's when they're running at full tilt. The average noise that these make is 32 decibels. And again, we will have exhaust fans as well, which run at 30 to 35 decibels.
And that's the end of our presentation.
Thank you very much. So next would be questions from the board. So feel free to go ahead. Lee?
Yeah, I had a question. I'm going to start with the waivers, and this might be a question for a staff member, but there are quite a bit of waivers that you've requested, and I'm always thinking about setting a precedence. Were other establishments that have come to us asked for similar waiver requests, and is this something that we have entertained? It just seems like quite a bit, so I'm just curious. I'm worried about setting precedent, and I'm wondering if that happens before.
My guess that would be Chris.
Sure, happy to answer that. David, I wonder if you might stop the screen share, and then we can all turn our cameras on and look at each other again. So typically, this select board has seen only one special permit request for a marijuana establishment before. That was for Fulcrum, and that was withdrawn before you got to this point. So the other marijuana establishments have been more, oh, you have seen another special permit. That was for the distance waiver requirement for the Great Barrington dispensary at the corner of Route 23 and Main Street. But other than that, these are usually before the planning board as by right retail establishments. And it is, common for applicants to request waivers from the technical requirements of a typical site plan application. The first waiver request here, and these are in your packet, by the way, and I'll say they're on page, I'm trying to find which page of the packet they're on. Just so sorry.
I have 46, but I could be wrong. I actually don't look at me because I did this. Packet.
Yeah, it's page 43 of your packet.
Okay.
There's a list of waiver requests. Number one is the marijuana establishment license. It's, as you heard Mr. Yulian say, it is actually impossible for them to provide that at this point. The reason this is required is when the town wrote the bylaw for marijuana establishments, the state law was not yet in place. We didn't know which was going to come first, so we said we'll ask for the license first. But that's not the way the state law works. They can't provide the license until they have the local approvals. So that's a waiver request that you should have no qualms about granting. It should be provided before operations begin. Details of security measures also, that's something routinely that the planning board asks about, talks about lighting, talks about maybe the details of cameras, but does not ask for the details of like maybe where cameras are placed, but not, how things are, the real in-depth security measures obviously shouldn't be provided for security reasons. And it is true, the applicant has met with the police chief to review the security plans. The planning board had no issues with this waiver request, and it seems pretty straightforward. Waiver request number 3 is for site drainage and stormwater calculations. That's something that's really important where you have existing issues on the site, where it's a steep site, where there's existing ponding issues, and or where there's a lot of work proposed on the site, or landscaping removed, parking lots installed. That's when you really want to know what's happening with stormwater and site drainage. None of that's happening in this case, in this proposal, so that should be a waiver that I think you should be comfortable with. The landscaping plan, again, since there's really no site work occurring, this is another waiver that seems reasonable. And just to pick up on something the applicant requested. They are seeking a special permit, a deviation from the technical requirement to plant trees on the Route 7 frontage. Their Route 7 frontage is in fact their driveway and the driveway of other businesses there. So it's really technically difficult for them to meet the requirements of that bylaw. So you can consider that with that information in mind. The traffic impact assessment, that's relative to the site plan review application that the planning board has seen. And as the applicant said, the planning board is comfortable waiving that requirement. So that's not even in your jurisdiction. That's it.
Thank you. Should I continue or?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Questions about employees. Are you looking locally for employees? Or are you bringing people from one of your other establishments?
So Moshe, I don't know if you want to jump in, but this is the first establishment for this company, so there are no other locations. But Moshe, for the specifics on the employees, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, this is Moshe. Hi. We don't have any employees lined up yet, so we're open to local employment opportunities. We haven't thought that far in advance.
Okay. And then any plans to work with a local distributor, or have you gone even that far? Where do you think this will be distributed, this product, if this is granted?
One of our business partners, I don't know if he's on the call, Roy, is connected with buyers in Massachusetts that have verbally committed to purchasing essentially anything we grow. And from what I've been hearing in the industry is there's a shortage of supply, of quality supply. So we're not concerned about where to sell it.
Thank you. That's all for now right now.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a couple, I guess.
Go ahead, Garfield.
I'm wondering, I have a concern, when we had Franklin come in, they were going to be quite a large tier. You say you're a tier 2. Is there room for expansion? And I would like not to expand. So I'm asking.
There's actually no physical room for us to expand. And I was telling Lee earlier today, our business plan does not encompass expansion. We plan to be a very small operation that is not scaling, just to keep it small and quality. That's our niche.
Then why did you pick Great Barrington?
It's a great question. A lot of reasons. The primary reason is I was researching the market for the real estate market in Massachusetts for months and months and months. And we couldn't find a property that met the criteria of the state where it's far from schools and residential areas and such. And this property was a perfect fit for us. For personal reasons, I went to UMass Amherst in the Pioneer Valley. So this is a place where I call home and want to be.
There was nothing in the Pioneer Valley, is what you're saying?
No, there wasn't much in inventory in the real estate market the last couple of years.
I just had a note, and this is just kind of throw out. You probably are aware. I'm wondering if you're aware that our local community college, Berkshire Community College, is now offering a second cohort for a cannabis industry certificate. So when I brought up the question about local employees, I just wanted to put that out there, that we have a community college that is offering a certificate in cannabis. So just throwing that out there.
That's fantastic.
Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, just a few questions also. It was on the transportation end of it. And I know I read in here a few times that trucks will be leaving first thing in the morning and returning just at night. So that's, I guess I would just, if somebody could explain that portion of the business a little bit to me. It's it's not most of this building you're using is for cultivation, not actual storage. So these trucks are just not back and
Yeah,
forth. I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't think we'll have like actual trucks. We might have 1 or 2 Sprinter vans, and we're mostly adding that so that we could transport our own product across state. Otherwise, we'd have to hire a third-party transportation company. If there is an opportunity to transport other local growers too, then we can do that on a small scale. But like you said, we don't have a huge storage facility for that, and that's not our primary business intention.
And then just when on the real estate topic, just curious what the building has been used for previously, and if there's what the last tenants were of this building, just out of curiosity.
I believe, I'm not sure, David, maybe you know better, that they were a printing press.
That
physical.
sounds right. I can't confirm, but we could certainly track down that information and provide it to the board.
Has it been used in a while, or it was when you came onto this piece of property, has it been vacant, I guess is what I was curious about.
To my knowledge, it was vacant for at least 6 months before we made contact with the landlord.
Eric, this is Chris Rembold speaking. It was a industrial silk screening and fabric printing manufacturing shop.
Okay. And then my last question for now, just with and this is probably more for the town staff, the sewer and sewer rates. I'm not exactly sure how that works for commercial or industrial establishments. Is it basically just a set fee, or is it scaled in some way?
Sean's on the line and may be able to answer that question if you just hang on for a minute.
All right, thank you.
Sean, you
You guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yes. So it's based upon existing dwelling units. So an industrial area would have more usage. Additionally, if there's a change in usage that would create more flow, there would be an impact fee associated with it. We'd have to calculate what the flow was of that facility before, and then look at the flow of what it would be now. So there might be an increase in flow, which would create an impact fee. We'll have to talk to the applicant.
So the fee, it would be like, just to understand it, the fee would be a one-time fee, or the monthly fee would?
It could be both.
Okay.
It could be both an increase. I need to look at the flows.
Sounds good. Just curious.
Anything else from the select board?
I just want to follow up on that. I think the water used to water the plants doesn't go into wastewater, right? It's just toilet flushing that then sinks.
No, they said some of it does go into wastewater, didn't they?
It said 3,711 gallons per day, I believe.
That was coming in.
Yeah.
Oh, that
How
was
much of
coming
that,
in?
how much of the, could somebody from the applicants just answer, how much of that will go into wastewater? What percentage?
This is Lindsay from Fuss and O'Neill. Can everybody
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I'm not looking at the slide. I don't have it in front of me, but it is, I think we're bringing in about 3,800 gallons and 37 is going into the sewer.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sean, again, we don't bill based upon the flow, based on flows. We base it upon the dwelling units. So it doesn't really matter to the town. Well, we'd have to process it, but it doesn't really matter in terms of billing.
Thank you, Sean. Lee.
Question for the applicant. I'm looking at the planning board's recommendation that we have a requirement for the planting of 2 trees be met somewhere in the right of way. Would the applicant be amenable to that?
Yes, gladly.
Okay.
That's a motion. Anything else from the board? For tonight, at least. Okay, let's open this to public comment and questions. Okay. So the comment section will be allowed up to 3 minutes. And go ahead, Michelle LeBear, you're first.
Thank you, Chair. Michelle LeBear, 70 Division Street, Great Barrington. I have a couple of questions which I'll just state.
Yeah, go right ahead, Michelle. You're muted, Michelle. Just unmute yourself.
Am I good now? Sorry
You
about
are, thank you.
Okay. A couple of questions. The Bear Scientific Odor Air System. I have a question on that. It's a system that I actually studied during the fulcrum matter. I was wondering if the applicant could tell me where it's in use in Massachusetts right now. So as far as odor control. My second question has to do with lighting. Looking at the slides, I believe the applicant stated it's going to be a building within a building, if I understood correctly. Something I also researched, several manufacturers up in Canada, that's the system they use. I'm concerned, it appears to me, and I think the slide stated that the grow lighting won't be visible at the exterior. And I'm referencing another cultivation facility down on Route 7 where it emits an orange glow, which is to me quite unsightly and intrusive. So I was wondering if the applicant could address again where the odor control systems used elsewhere in Massachusetts and on the lighting.
Ryan Connor, go ahead.
Sure, I'll address the lighting and then I'll pass the odor question off to Josh from Bayer Scientific. From a lighting, this is a 100% contained, sealed environment for the grow rooms. No light leaks out whatsoever. There are no windows, there are no joints. Everything is vapor sealed to keep the air in, and therefore there is no way for light to get out of the grow rooms.
Thank you.
You bet. Josh, can you are you available to speak? Can you talk a little bit about the MT system?
Yeah, Josh, go ahead.
Hi, Josh Rumbush here with Bayer Scientific. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Sure. So specifically, the question was, are the MT2 molecular filtration systems currently used in the state of Massachusetts? Is that correct?
Well, your system, is it used anywhere else in Massachusetts? Or will this be the first part? Will this be a test case?
So to be clear, the molecular filtration technology that we manufacture is not being used in the state of Massachusetts currently. However, molecular filtration is a known odor mitigation approach. There is a defined reaction that occurs, and we are able to test the carbon to validate the efficacy of removal. So although there isn't currently systems in place in Massachusetts, we've actually sold 6 systems that are being manufactured now and will be in the state of Massachusetts soon. So hopefully that answers your question.
All right, if not Massachusetts, is there a place I can research where you are using it? Somewhere in the United States as close to Massachusetts as possible.
Certainly. I'm not at liberty to mention any clients right now on the phone, but yes, we have multiple MT series systems. They come in different sizes. So this particular technology is 2,000 cubic feet per minute. We have several MT6, which is 6,000 cubic feet per minute. I would also say that this technology has been third-party tested, and we have documented removal rates of up to 95% removal of both sulfurs and terpenes with one pass. And so to be clear, the engineering for this particular project is right around 13 to 14 passes per hour inside that facility. And that's something that we could certainly share.
Okay, I guess my main concern is the area within which this is being used, and doing some research on it to see if odor is emitted using your system. So you're saying you can't divulge that information?
I think he said he would give it to you offline. Is my understanding that correct, Josh?
That is correct. Yeah, I can
All right,
provide
yes, because I would like to check that out. Okay.
We'll arrange to get it to you, Michelle.
All right, thank you.
And just so I'm clear on one thing here, molecular filtration is a defined process. So it really comes down to the type of carbon being used. It comes down to the CFM, and it comes down to the phase velocity. So this is not a experimental technology by any stretch of the imagination. This is adsorption, and that's with the D. Molecular filtration, carbon scrubbing is also known as, has been used for many, many years for odor sequestering. And there's plenty of documentation we could provide on that as well.
Yes, I have researched that documentation, but I want to see for, say it's in a area that abuts a residential area. How do the lay people feel about it? Is it as good as what you're saying? So that's all I'm
Sure.
checking on. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Denise Forbes.
Hi, Denise Forbes, 325 North Plain Road. I'm just a little concerned. I'm hearing a lot about this new facility being built, and it sounds like it's going to be very closed. So are the workers going to be wearing some kind of uniform to protect themselves from all the odors that are inside with these plants and being in close proximity? That's one question. My other concern is, are they using water from a well, or are they getting it from the GB Fire District? I'm just a little concerned because of all the water problems we're having in Housatonic. And I know that GB has their own issues, but not like ours. And my other concern is with this building and are you going to have a facility that also manufactures and makes your product into the THC, CBD oils and whatnot, so that you'll have a separate unit that will be creating all your products before you ship it out for resale, because of the butane and propane that you'll be using? I'm just curious if that is part of the plan. And
Thank
that's
you.
my questions for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Who would like to answer those?
Ryan Connor, this is Josh Rimbush. Do you want me to touch on the BVOCs?
Sure, yes.
So you'd asked a question about the odors. So we have 2 PhDs on staff. And in fact, we have an entire division dedicated to understanding a couple different things. Specifically the type of compounds that come off the cannabis plant. We've been researching this for 3.5, almost 4 years now. And we have quite a library of strains. So it's important to understand 2 primary things. The first is biogenic volatile organic compounds known as BVOCs. Are plant-based compounds that come from things that are growing out of the ground, trees, grass, bush, roses, you name it. Those all create biogenic volatile organic compounds. They're completely safe. They're not dangerous to humans, and that has been studied. Furthermore, the other classification, it's important for this group to understand, the classic thing that people are complaining about when it comes to cannabis odor is not a terpene. There's a massive misunderstanding in the industry, even at the regulatory level. Those compounds are actually thiols. They're sulfur compounds. They're not harmful. They do have a low odor detection threshold associated with them, but there's no danger in being near them. So as we talk about being clothed or being surrounded by odors, there are no health and safety concerns based on the research that our 2 PhDs have done from a clothing or from a skin standpoint.
Thank you. I think she had 2 other questions. Somebody wanted.
The manufacturing question, this is Moshi, I can address. No, we will not be manufacturing, processing, or doing any of that sort to the product. We are just cultivation facility.
Thank you. And there's a third question?
Yeah, this is John Allard from Fuss O'Neill. I believe the third question was where the water supply was coming from.
Yes.
And it is municipal water. It's not on well. And we have confirmed with the superintendent over at the water department that they have enough supply for the proposed facility.
Thank you. Garfield.
May I speak as a citizen?
No, you're speaking as a board member because we're voting on this. You are a board member.
I have nothing to say.
Okay. Having no more public comment and we have in our packet the comments from other boards and commissions, and those have already been gone over. So I think we're at the point now where we want to continue this. I don't think we're ready to close. Chris, give me some advice. I don't think we're ready to close.
Well, I think what I'd encourage you to do is, can somebody mute their microphone? Oh, great, thanks. I'd encourage you to look, I think, at the special permit criteria in the zoning bylaw section 10.4, or in fact, the applicant has summarized the criteria in their submittal to you. And that's beginning on page 35 of your packet. There are 6 criteria for a special permit, as you know. I think it would be good for you to look at each of the criteria. And I'm not saying you have to take the applicant's argument, but review the criteria and discuss amongst yourselves how you feel about each one, if you need more information about each one. And then we have a clear goal for the applicant in case any more information is needed for the next time. And we also have more of a sense from the board of what your own findings might be for each of these criteria that you have to go through.
So Chris, why don't you guide us through 10.4, each one?
Sure.
Could you tell us again the page number? Sorry, in the
Yeah, I
packet.
lost it.
I think it's page 35 of your packet. Okay, Ed? Okay. So there are 6 special permit criteria. It requires a finding on each of them. The first one is social, economic, or community needs, which are served by the proposal. Oftentimes, this takes the form of, meeting, needs around employment, around tax base, around.
You guys want to move? You guys want to go?
Excuse me, Josh.
Excuse me, Josh, you're not muted.
Excuse me.
Tax base, physical infrastructure, the land use surrounding the building, the zoning, things like that. Does anybody have any questions, or do we need more information about that?
Lee, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I had a question. If we had a request that they take into consideration something, is this the place to note that, when we come up to vote?
Means such as hiring local.
Yeah, or something. It's that's not it, but something like that, that like they reach out to a
Yeah.
third level institution for education opportunities, et cetera. Is that something?
Yeah, and that's fine. And what I suggest after we go through this discussion is that I would prepare a set of findings for you to review at your next meeting.
Okay.
And at that point, I would include maybe a draft statement like that, Lee, if the board is generally in favor of something like that. And then you all can discuss it and vote on it at that time.
So if I have specific things, should I send it to you, Chris?
Yeah, but you should bring it up now.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so my question or comment would be to consider hiring locals and also to have them reach out to Berkshire Community College about their 1-year program on cannabis industry certificate, that program.
Mm-hmm.
And the host agreement also asks, ask them to try to make a best effort to hire local. We don't even need to say out loud, that's not easy to do right now. But yeah, I agree with you that we should put that in there.
Okay, then let's move on to the next one, Chris.
Second one is traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading.
Yeah, having been down there today during the site visit, that's not an issue for that location, especially with 10 employees and it just,
yeah.
Not being a retail facility is an advantage.
Okay. Adequacy of utilities and public services is number 3. Any questions there?
Yeah,
We don't.
Sorry,
Go. I'm going to take the word for it, but I think as a town, we should just get the sewer and water just to verify what they said. But otherwise, I mean, it's a small facility. It's 7,000 square feet. I can't imagine it's going to overload either of those.
Right. The statements were included in the packet, statements signed by the water superintendent and sewer.
I missed that, so perfect. I
Yep.
think that was not an issue whatsoever.
Agreed.
Okay, moving on is number 4, neighborhood character and social structures. We often talk here about surrounding land use, the zoning district, how the operations of the proposal will impact the neighbors, et cetera.
Yeah, go ahead, Lee.
Sure, okay. Trees, is this a place where I talk trees, or is it impacts of natural environment?
Let's do it in natural environment.
Okay, I will wait for my tree statement.
Yep. It just this seems like an ideal location for something like this. It's industrial. It's not near any residential, and in fact, not a single abutter showed up tonight to complain. So I think it does fit in.
In terms of impacts on the natural environment, you heard that it's a reuse of an existing building, and their growing cultivation methods and what they use. In terms of the tree request, you would, they are seeking to deviate technically from the Route 7 landscaping requirement. And during discussion, Lee, you talked about would they be open to meeting that requirement somewhere else in the corridor as per the planning board suggestion. So now might be the time to bring that up.
I would like to request that we follow the recommendation that we require the planting of 2 trees be met somewhere else in the right of way as per the planning board request.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
So the right of way means we get to say it's okay, because they don't have property where they can put it.
Somewhere else. I guess the owner owns that whole, different parcels of that space. So
right, it's a different.
I suppose if you wanted to be clear, it could be along the right of way, it could be on private property on the Route 7 corridor. Is that something you'd look for?
That would be preferable on the Route 7 corridor, so it's has maximum impact on passing traffic. So that would be my request.
Okay. And again, we can refine everything when you look at the final findings statement. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on natural environment?
Yeah, they're doing almost no outside work. So whatever they do is going to be an improvement on a parking lot. So I don't see that as a problem.
Okay. And number 6 is potential fiscal impact, including impacts on the tax base and employment, town services. Will they be requiring, basically more services than sort of they're contributing back? We had a question about sewer fees, talked about water usage.
I think, again, for the size of their structure, and from what I've read, they're not going to have a negative impact on any of these. It's probably an ideal size for the first one in Great Barrington because of how small it is, and there is no place to expand unless they buy more property, which would require another special permit. Garfield, go ahead.
Yes. Am I allowed to offer my opinion?
You've always been allowed to offer your opinion as a board member.
Okay. I am not pleased that they chose Great Barrington. I have not gone and searched the Pioneer Valley, but I find it a little hard to believe. I think they came here because Great Barrington has turned into a hotbed for marijuana establishments. And I think we've had enough. I've seen enough. I've had enough. And I'm not at all happy about it. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Garfield.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris, on 10.4.
Well, you've, I think, discussed the 6 criteria, and it doesn't sound like there's any information wanting or any further discussion on those that you would need to leave the record open. So I think tonight you could probably feel comfortable closing the public hearing and just waiting to make a decision until your next meeting, at which time we can formally review some findings and you can vote on those.
So I would ask for a motion to continue to close the public hearing. And is it two motions, Chris? Refresh me, we haven't done this.
Two motions, one to close, if you agree that
Yeah.
you can close, and then you would continue.
So a
You
motion,
would continue the discussion, not the hearing.
Yeah. Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I, and a motion to continue the discussion till April 25th at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
And someone should check that date to make sure I didn't mess up on that. I did not.
It's a Monday.
That's perfect.
That's correct.
So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And Chris, I should ask you, I mean, you already said it, but that gives you enough time.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Thank you, everyone, for this. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's as I predicted, a fairly long meeting. We have next the appointment of Dan Miller to a 5-town cable advisory committee. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to appoint Dan Miller to the 5-town cable advisory committee.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric. You're muted, Eric.
Aye.
Thank you. Ed, Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Congratulations, Dan. So
Thank you.
the next two items are presentations. There will be no voting by the board. It's just presentations to the board and to the public and to other boards to the extent that they're here. First one is the Main Street pedestrian crosswalk safety presentation by Beta Engineering.
Okay, thanks, Steve. So you're correct, Beta is here. I'm gonna go ahead and promote Ken and Tyler and allow them to share their screens.
This wasn't in the packet, Mark. I'm just clarifying it, or was it this presentation?
The presentation was not in the packet. We wanted it to be presented to the board tonight, and then we'll share the packet on our website tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Tyler and Ken, you are now panelists and you're good to go. You can share your screen at any time.
Hi, this is Tyler DeRuiter from Beta Group. Ken and Sean, do you just want to show the concept sketch? Is that what you're looking for?
There were two different options that we wanted to present tonight.
I think I've got that. Hold on.
John, do you want us to just dive right into the presentation, or do you want to make any introduction or remark?
I think you can dive into the presentation. This had been presented to the board in a slightly different format a little over a year ago. So this is just, kind of rehashing what we had. I think you can go right into it.
Okay,
Sure.
great. I think Tyler, can you go ahead and
Sure. Thanks very much. Tyler DeRuiter. I'm a traffic engineer with Beta Group. Ken is here with me. So we've got on the screen, let me know if it's not big enough for you and I can zoom in. But we have on the top side a short term and the bottom side a long term. As Sean noted, it was presented to the board previously, so we'll go over it again. These are two crosswalks on Main Street, one at Railroad Street and one at Rotary Way, which is just south of Elm Street. So what we looked at was ways to accentuate those two crossings that exist today. The short term up on top, I'll zoom in a little bit. involves redoing those existing crosswalks with high visibility imprint. So, you know, we've seen in some instances where that's maybe like a brick pattern with some striping. And then we've also have the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, which are your pedestrian signs with the rectangular flashing yellow lights that strobe when a push button is pressed. They don't require vehicles to stop. They more draw attention to the crosswalk and the crosswalk signs. So this is sort of the basic kind of keeping what you've got, the sidewalk and the ramps the same, and really just adding emphasis to the crosswalk and then installing the RRFB beacons. The long term takes that a step further and proposes some median islands within the roadway. These islands serve two purposes. One is it shortens the crossing so that the pedestrian is only crossing one direction of traffic, of vehicle traffic at a time. And it also gives them a space to kind of rest in the middle. We've shown here as having another rapid flashing beacon with a button in the middle of the island with some additional signage. We've spoken with members of the Public Works and I believe Police and Fire, who noted some concerns about having obstructions in the middle of the roadway, trying to get emergency vehicles through there. So we've evaluated taking a look at these being mountable islands such that a fire truck might be able to drive over them. If we do that, then we cannot put any signage or any flashing beacons in it. It would be, you know, sort of low and with nothing on there. Updated striping here to continue the vehicle taper through. One thing that's a little bit different with this one is the rotary way crossing. Currently today accommodates almost 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. It's opening up going southbound. The island that we have here would maintain 1 travel lane southbound until you get just past the island at Church Street, where it opens up as 2 lanes. And the reason for that is the Railroad Street crossing is opposite an existing left turn lane. So there is some island space opposite that lane where we can use. Rotary Way doesn't have that. So we have to eat into some of the existing lane width to put that island in there. So that is basically the quick and fast version of it. Do you have
So I have a question. I'll start the question. Explain to me the logic of creating a bottleneck.
In which way? The 1 lane here?
Yeah, the 1 lane there. Main Street's a pain in the neck anyways. We all know that. We're very fortunate it's heavily traveled. Why would we want to narrow it down?
So I would say that it's not necessarily a bottleneck. It is 1 lane to the north of Elm Street. And then it opens up once you get past, you know, where the crosswalk is. So one of the things that we've looked at with this particular crossing is that it's not quite 4 lanes, but it almost is. And so as a pedestrian, you're crossing that large section of pavement. And when we see 4-lane crossings, a lot of times what will happen is some vehicle will stop in 1 lane, but the vehicle in the lane next to them won't stop, either because they don't really know what's going on, or they maybe don't care. So that creates a hazard for these pedestrians where maybe they think that traffic is stopping, but actually somebody didn't. With 1 lane in this scenario here, that is a safer crossing for these pedestrians crossing southbound traffic because they're only crossing 1 lane. But we're maintaining the 2 lanes northbound that exist today. So it's kind of extending the existing single lane section down. It'll still open once they get past Church.
Lee, then Eric.
Yeah, so thank you. I'm very happy to see the second option with the I guess the island, as you would call it. I do think that shrinking that distance is very important because I have seen, and I think we've all probably seen 2 close calls with people walking and one of the a car not seeing the blind spot and nearly hitting the second in the second lane. So I'm thankful that you have addressed that through this design. So two questions with the bike path. How is this affecting the bike path for option 2, if it does?
The existing bicycle lanes would be retained. We're not shifting the curb line at all on the outsides of the road.
Okay, so I just want to make sure the bike lanes are retained. And in terms of shrinking it, let's see, going south as opposed to shrinking it going north, is there a thought like, if you're going to shrink it to one lane, is it because it's already going to one lane anyways, going south? Is that the thought?
Yeah, that's the thought.
Yes.
Where to the north of Elm Street, it's already one lane southbound, and you don't see the markings opening up into 2 lanes until south of Rotary Way. So we've just formalized that as one lane up to that point, in which point it opens up. So I think shifting it on the northbound side would be a little bit too abrupt, because you'd be coming in from 2 lanes down to 1 versus just maintaining 1.
Okay. So continuing that, have you thought about continuing that one lane to the other, to the second crosswalk? Because that's where I see the near misses right there. If anything, it's, that junction going, near Railroad. Has there?
We did not consider maintaining 1 lane from Elm Street all the way to Railroad, noting that, we wanted to maintain the lane assignments where we could. But if that is something that the board would be interested in evaluating, we could do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I think it's a great idea that you're condensing or whatever the terminology is, it to one lane, because that will slow traffic and it is a lot safer for pedestrians. And again, with having 2 lanes side by side and one car stopping and then there's a blind spot in the other car not stopping, that's a huge problem. So I would throw out the possibility of considering keeping it 1 lane to the Railroad Street crosswalk. So that would be my suggestion.
Eric, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I got a few questions as well. One is, and I think this is what everybody else has been stating, is I've seen the most incidences on the railroad side of things. So I do like the idea of the island there and everything else, but I guess my concern, I got 2 concerns. One is, I would like to see the future expansion of 2 lanes going farther north than shutting it down to 1 lane farther south. To be honest with you, summertime traffic, everything else, I think sooner or later we're going to have a discussion of road expansion farther, northwards towards the big bridge and all that. So the narrowing it down there makes me concerned. But knowing, I guess I'm saying, I don't necessarily know that we need the island in that section, or just worried about closing down and bottlenecking, like Steve said. Then also with the flashers and the strobes, I'm wondering, can we make these flashers and strobes to say, hold the pedestrians there for a certain amount of time and then have them cross, like, as opposed to them just constantly pressing it and those flashers, 2 people go out, 10 seconds later, another 2 people go out. Can we incorporate flashers along those lines?
Yeah, you can program in, what I'll call like a cooldown, where when pressed, it activates for the amount of time that, it activates for, and then it won't do anything for some period of time to kind of platoon pedestrians if that's an issue. We have seen that done before.
Right.
I would say, one of the concerns with the beacons, such as in the short term, is the location of them related to the parked vehicles. There is a bump out there, which is great, but there's also a lot going on within those areas. And so we would want to really evaluate the visibility of those to make sure that cars can see them, or drivers can see them rather, approaching. And I think one of the good benefits of having the island is you can install a beacon within that. However, we can't really do that while maintaining emergency access. So it's kind of one of the pros and cons, I would say.
This is Ken. I just wanted to emphasize that the answer is yes. Those flashing light can be easily programmed so that they don't constantly be going on. So that's something that could be a program into the system. I do want to make a comment about the 2-lane currently at the Railroad Street, because I know when we met with the fire department and the police, they have expressed concern about fire truck, especially if they have to make a right turn going into Railroad Street from Main Street. So I think narrowing it down to 1 lane could be a concern from the fire and the police department. I think if it's anything else, the median that we're proposing serve 2 significant safety improvements on Main Street. One is you are really reducing the crossing time, and you're creating a refuge for pedestrian, because that section of crossing today, it's very long. It's over 50 feet, and the purpose of those medians is also, I think someone had mentioned earlier, it's really to help calm traffic. We do want them to slow down as they approach these crosswalk, and I think the median creates that effect.
Thank you. Lee, then Eric.
So thank you. You did answer my question, because that was a follow-up question about the narrowing of that particular crosswalk if our fire staff would be negatively impacted. So thank you for clarifying that, because that was my question. So again, focusing on that problem area, you're saying that we could, by having this island, we can feel pretty good that it's going to help with the blind spot of the 2nd lane. Because that's really what I see, and what is when people are crossing, and then 1 lane stops and the other
Right.
doesn't. So by having that island, that'll help us, I guess. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, definitely, because without the island today, you have to cross really fast, and you have to almost look at both directions.
Okay.
And with the island, you can kind of look at one direction at a time. As once you are in the median, the refuge, you can look the other direction, so you don't have to focus 2 directions almost at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Eric,
right.
Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I believe you've answered this in the past, but since this is Route 7 or Main Street, we can't raise these crosswalks, correct? Is that it can't be like raised above, almost like a speed bump sort of thing? Is that an option here?
That is correct, just because this is a major arterial, and you have very high volumes. So the criteria would discourage any vertical treatment on the crosswalk.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll continue this discussion. It's really helpful tonight, so thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Steve, I just had a question. So follow up, in terms of budgeting and giving thumbs up or thumbs down and just the urgency and really getting something done, where are we with this process?
John, do you want to answer that?
The money's been allocated or at least put forward in this year's budget for both options. So regardless, if that budget is approved at the annual, you'll be able to move forward with either option.
So this is a warrant item, is this what I'm hearing?
The money to cover this, the cost of this is already put forward in the paving budget at this year's annual.
So to move things forward sooner than later, should we be acting on this sooner than later? Or I just worry about kind of putting another meeting there.
If the money is voted on and approved at the meeting, you could go out to bid that day and start probably in the fall. You wouldn't want to be doing this work in the middle of summer.
Yeah, okay, so start in fall. And then just, Sean, how long, let's say if we did agree on option 2, how long are we talking for an island and all that? Just
so it would depend on the contractor and a variety of things. I don't think it's an extensively large project, probably a few weeks or a month.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the Ramsdale Library entrance presentation. Again, it's a presentation. There's no vote tonight. It's unveiling of a plan.
So we have architects from LLB Architecture here to present plans. So I'm going to go ahead and promote them. Okay, there's Drayton. I sent an invite to Patrick as well.
So I'm assuming that you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. This is Drayton Fair with LLB Architects. Thank you for seeing us tonight. We're excited to be here. I'm going to share my screen. And I hope that everyone can see the front of the Ramsdale Library.
We can.
Wonderful. Again, thank you very much for seeing us tonight. This project has been on the books for a little while. It has been somewhat of a victim of the pandemic, like us all. But we're really excited about the possibilities that we're going to present of making the main entrance of the Ramsdale Library in Housatonic handicap accessible. That was really the only criteria. As you know, the building is not handicap accessible, certainly not from the front. This was, we interviewed for this project, and this again is an attempt to simply make the front handicap accessible. So as you may know, the existing Ramsdale Library is approached from the street. It's got a number of granite steps going up to a landing. One of the fortunate things about the library is that, unlike many historic buildings, it does not have a final step up into the building. The landing out here, there is a threshold that will have to be slightly modified, but it's very advantageous that you can just go into from the landing. So our proposal is to remove and move the existing granite steps and these lamps, pull them out and create a larger landing at the top of this existing landing, and then provide a combination of really a landscape slope to get to, and some new stairs and new landscaping to get to that entry. We wanted to try and make it as as graceful as possible without a large obtrusive ramp that would require double handicap railings on each side and be very, very sort of historically inappropriate for this beautiful building. So the new plan calls for, there's quite a bit of a difference, as you can imagine. There's almost 7 feet difference between the existing floor level of the library and the curb. So essentially raising up the front lawn to work with the existing slopes, creating new steps at the front. So maintaining this walkway in from the curb cut, putting in a few more steps, walking across, again, taking these existing granite steps and lamps and pulling them out so that we create a new landing at the front door. And then the accessibility is through a gently sloped 4-foot wide concrete walk that winds around the existing trees, crosses the new crosswalk here, sidewalk there, and then wraps around yet again and gets to this landing here. If you slope at less than 1 in 20, handicap railings are not required. Anything greater than 1 in 20, they are. So this landscape slope slopes up at about 1 in 20 and winds around, and you end up right at the same location that you would end up if you were walking straight up. We try to take great care in terms of retaining the existing trees. So these this 16-inch maple and this 28-inch maple are the existing trees that are there. We have built a small window well, retaining wall around this tree at the drip line to maintain this tree. One of the design criteria options that we worked with was trying to maintain the possibility of a future drive on the property along the right side here. So in this design, there is a retaining wall here that holds back the land so that in the future, potentially, if anything is ever done, if there's an addition that's ever put back here, potentially just for maintenance, this can be maintained as a drive, as a one-way drive back. Looking at the landscaping, keeping some low evergreen shrubs in the center, very simple landscaping, low ground cover, just to keep it green. We did want to keep the areas right adjacent to the building as low as possible. There are some basement windows there, so we didn't want to create a situation where we would have too much water or leaves or collection of debris up against those windows. So we held that back. So from a very simple, we thought the simpler the better in terms of a diagram, just to sort of really hopefully describe it to you. The existing looks something like this, and the built, what we're building looks similar to this. Again, with the new stairs coming up, the crosswalk going out, pulling out the landing, and a landscape slope that winds around. At this point over here, because of that retaining wall, we will require a guardrail. So looking at putting a guardrail that matches new rails at these stairs as well over there. But it is off to the side. It's sort of under the trees, so we don't think that it'll be too obtrusive. Looking at how much it costs, we had it estimated by an independent cost estimator, and looking at all of the construction costs, this would be public construction prevailing wage, Chapter 149. So it's just above $400,000 estimated to build it, with some allowances of soft costs for fees, for construction site review, for advertising, et cetera, and so forth. And so it's just over about $525,000, just under $525,000. So it's a pretty straightforward and hopefully simple solution to bring everyone, welcoming everyone into the Ramsdale Library. So that's it. If you have any questions, I'd love to be able to try and answer them or get back to you with answers.
So I would have one question for Sean. Sean, what are where's the money for this? I know we've allocated, I think, 350. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we included some money in this year's capital budget at town meeting to cover the remainder.
So the money is, if it passes, would be in this. Okay, thank you. Lee, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Just wondering what the contingency percentage is. I couldn't do quick math, but just with the cost of construction, I'm just wondering what the.
Sure, we have a more of a breakdown here of our estimates and our allowances. We've got a design contingency in there of about 10%. We also have a construction contingency of another 10% on top of that. It's a very, very volatile market these days. So, and unfortunately, as needed and as we hope wonderful this project is, it's one of those projects that for public contractors particularly, it's sort of too small to attract the big guys and it's too big to attract the small guys.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you're right in that difficult spot of attracting contractors, but we hope for the best.
Okay. Follow-up question. I saw that when you mentioned pulling out the lamps, I was hopeful that you would be putting them back somewhere. So I see in your plan that you just brought them out. So thank you.
Absolutely, yes.
Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple simple questions. As far as the retaining wall, is that scheduled as just a foundation, like poured wall, or is that going to have a veneer on it? Has that been discussed? Is it a?
It hasn't been discussed right now. It is a poured concrete wall. We could take a look at having some form liners on it to give it some texture. We could certainly look at it as an alternate to make it it'd be great if we could have an alternate to do a rubble-faced river rock veneer on that wall. But we're very tight over here on this lane, so we want to just make sure that we've got enough room. We don't fatten that wall out so much that we restrict ourselves.
Yeah. And then also just curious, in the garden area, I don't see why we couldn't, but just a couple benches, right? I know there is a bench right now under the larger maple. And there wouldn't be any issue if we decided to put a couple benches on each side of the walkway.
Absolutely not. It'd be lovely.
Sounds good.
Ed, go ahead.
Thanks. A few things. One, I was a library trustee, I think 8 years ago. I started 9. And we had that. This was already an old project, so I'm really glad it's gotten to this point. I've also was sort of here at the beginning of this, and you've done a remarkable job. This looks 1,000 times better than original estimates or drawings. One concern, it's not a concern, but we now have people in the front door. There still aren't bathrooms. There's still none of the rest of it's accessible. Does this trigger that because of the cost?
I don't think it does. I think it's we wanted to present this to you first. Naturally, we haven't sort of taken it around to the community yet. This is our first unveiling, if you will. We're looking at this as we're not really touching the building significantly in terms of a building renovation cost. It's more of an exterior project. So that's the way that that we're hoping to present it. And that way it wouldn't trigger the entire upgrade of the existing building. We will be putting automatic door openers on the existing doors, so that, of course, once people get up there, they can press a button and open the doors. But that's really the extent of the formal building modifications.
Thank you.
Lee, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Just on the landscaping, I would just request that you please look at the Great Barrington Pollinator Action Plan and get some input from them or from the plan and people behind this plan for some thoughts about what they think would be useful for the landscaping outside.
That would be wonderful. We kept it very generic for this initial pass. We want to make sure that it is that there's enough landscaping in the plan so that when it's finished, it's not just soil or dirt. That being said, it's a fantastic opportunity for the garden club or local gardeners to hopefully give it some love.
Chris Tucci, go ahead. Chris, are you there? Just have to unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi. Just give your name and address, please, for the record.
Chris Tucci, 366 Park Street, library trustee. Just speaking to say that I am excited to see this as well and echo Ed's sentiments. And I'm excited that the building can become more accessible for the citizens of Great Barrington and Housatonic, and look forward to discussing this further at our library trustee meeting later this week. And thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Chris. Patrick Hollenbeck.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for moving Ramsdale forward. It's a huge, huge moment for us. And what Chris just said is exactly right. Trustees will review this at our upcoming meeting on Thursday night. So thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Anyone else before we move ahead? Thank you very much, Trayton.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Railroad Street Outdoor Dining and Entertainment, 2022. Mark?
Sure, I'll take this. And thank you for everyone that's been patient on the line, waiting for this topic to come up. So as you all know, in 2020 and 2021, in response to the pandemic, we narrowed Railroad Street Friday and Saturday nights for outdoor dining and music. Year 2 for Berkshire Busk, specifically from Memorial Day to Labor Day. This year, after hearing feedback from folks over the past couple of years, we held a discussion with the merchants, with restaurant owners, among staff here at Town Hall, and then with the Chamber of Commerce. And after that discussion, we'd like to ask the board this year to consider a full closure of Railroad Street from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Friday, Saturday nights, Sunday nights, on holiday weekends. And that's mainly for two reasons. One, to improve safety. That's the most important reason. And two, to create more of a street fair atmosphere on Railroad Street during that time. We have been given permission from Berkshire Bank to access the triplex parking lot through their property. So that's exciting and new for this year. And Jean and Carly from Berkshire Busk are both on the line and would like a minute to share their plans for Berkshire Busk, if that's okay with the board.
Of course.
Hey, thanks everyone. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'll just emphasize both of the points that Mark brought up. On the safety side, you know, we we experienced success and created a safety hazard last year. We had enough people on the street, particularly little kids who were running in and out of SoCo, and there were SUVs coming up and down the street. And so it got to be quite dangerous, so dangerous that we took some of our staff members and sort of situated them at the foot of Railroad just to make sure cars knew to drive slowly. So I'll just want to shine a spotlight on Mark's comment about safety. Now, the second point, which is the more important one, is that if we were to eliminate the cars driving through, there would be a feeling of much more of a walking street, and I think people would more casually sort of linger and walk around. So what we're planning to do on the Berkshire Busk side is then to take that and piggyback on this by having music sort of more, I would call it more of our headliners, performing at both ends of Railroad. Betsy, in the meeting that Mark mentioned, had brought up the idea of offering stores in town, of having little vendor booths to sell things on the street, and we're going to move forward to invite stores to do that. So we want to create a much more of a festival atmosphere. We've been talking with a bunch of the restaurants about whether there is a way to even do some grab and go food. So this would be sort of our goal here would be to try to close down Railroad Street and simultaneously enhance what's going on Railroad Street with some of these other elements and see how it works. And my sense is, based on our experience towards the end of last summer, I think it would create a much more welcoming and frankly, the word's going to get out, and I think it will be a much more enjoyable experience on Railroad Street. And frankly, I think it'll help the stores. It'll certainly help the restaurants. So that's kind of my perspective. I know we welcomed Carly. I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Carly.
Hi, yeah, I'll just mention also that in terms of last year's festival to this year's festival, we're also moving into having more like 4 to 6 groups per night instead of 9 to 10 in response to some of the local businesses who said the sound bleed was a little bit much. But other than that, I'll keep it brief and just echo everything that Jean said.
Thank you. Thank you. Do I have a motion first and then we'll have discussion?
I make a motion to recommend the full closure of Railroad Street during the Berkshire Busk entertainment program schedule.
Second.
Now discussion.
My only concern is the upper parking lot. And if we could figure out a way to get access, and I'm not an expert in this, the two I thought of are reverse the direction of the road that goes from the upper to the lower, or it would take people and marking, but make it so you could make a right turn out of Berkshire Bank and go up Elm. I don't know if it's wide enough to do that safely, but if there's any way to not lose access to that upper lot, that'd be great.
Thank you, Ed. Lee?
Yes, absolutely. I echo that. And if Mark could maybe enlighten us about the thoughts for that upper parking lot. But I am just, a huge fan of Berkshire Busk. I think that we are so lucky to have the volunteers and the work that Jean Carr has put into this, and Carly. And I do know that other towns are looking at us and wishing that they had the energy that Great Barrington has really capitalized on thanks to the work from last summer. So I am 100% in favor of this. I think that it's putting us on the map even more so. It brings great intergenerational energy into the town, and I am 100% in favor of this. So thank you.
So I have a motion and a second. Let's vote on this. Garfield. That was an aye from Garfield. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Yeah.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Jean and Carly, thank you very much. Mark, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the board. I'll continue to work with staff to see if we can come up with some creative solutions to open that upper lot without having detail officers committed to do that. So let me work with staff and see if there's something we can come up with. I just want to say that upper lot will be open. Access will be provided until 6 o'clock. So I think most cars will be in and situated by that time. And then I just want to remind everyone that it is a 24-hour lot. So I don't see a lot of turnover happening up there anyway, but let's keep talking about it. I'll work with staff, like I said, and see if we can come up with some solutions.
Thank you, Mark. Next, we have citizen speak time. Reminder what I said some 3 hours ago, we are not going to talk about short-term rentals. For legal reasons, we will have a chance to talk about those, but we're not ready to do that tonight. Okay, let's start with Denise Forbes. Go right ahead.
Hi, Denise Forbes, 325 North Plain Road, Housatonic. I'm interested in speaking with you guys about the fact that you're getting this money from ARPA, and you've got allocations set up for affordable housing, an electric signage for the fire department, health department staffing, and replacement for ambulances, which are all great causes. I'm just concerned that we are dealing with a major emergency with Housatonic Water. They are basically received another notice from the DEP. I would like the select board to go in and do an audit on Housatonic Water and find out how their finances are, because we really need to have the town take them over so that we can merge with the GB Fire Department, Fire District, and do something positive, because we are constantly receiving notification that our water is contaminated and it's not potable. So how can you worry more about affordable housing, putting people in housings, when we can't even have water that's drinkable? We're really worried. There's so many of us up in arms. Eric, you know all about it too. You're part of this whole Housatonic area. We really need help on this situation. And if the government is giving us funding, we need to do something about it. And I love the idea of the library getting a $550,000 uplift, but Housatonic Water is not giving us water we can drink. It's a private company. We need to do something. I am really up in arms. I'm not the only one. I've had people who were listening to this meeting, and some of them had to drop off, but we really need help. It's an emergency. We can't drink the water. I can't even shower with the water. It irritates my eyes. It's just a real big problem, and we need to get a solution. And that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Leo Stemp.
Okay, Leo Stemp, 143 Hurlburt Road. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
So again, I want to ask questions about the citizen speak time. My concern is that, you know, government is always requesting citizen input, but the citizen speak time, if we can't ask questions and get answers, how are we supposed to provide feedback, get feedback, and have an interchange? And that's a question.
Maybe if I just understood better, what topic you want to ask questions on?
No, it could be any topic. I mean, my particular interest now, obviously, is in the short-term rental housing issue. But I don't understand how we're supposed to be able to provide.
I run a meeting, as you saw tonight, is that for each topic, I allow people to speak and ask questions. Public hearing, I have no choice, but as we go through the meeting, people ask questions. So at the end is not a debate time, it's a time to hear your opinion.
So are you saying that once we go back to discussing the short-term rental bylaw, we will be able to ask questions and have an interchange?
Yes.
That hasn't happened in any of the other meetings on that subject that I've witnessed.
I was at every one of those, and I'm aware of that. You can't draw up a document. You can't design a document with 30 people. It's a select board document. We'll get the document done. Then we'll have input. Then we'll have more deliberation, but we will have discussion.
Okay, so, and so one other question I have is, in another town that I used to live in where I was participating in town government, they used to have citizen speak time both at the beginning of the meeting and at the ends. Any consideration about that? Have you ever considered that, and what's your thought about that?
I hadn't really thought about it, so give me a little chance to think about that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Elizabeth Rockefeller?
Elizabeth Rockefeller, 284 Park Street North. I'm asking that the town of Great Barrington and the Housatonic Water Company be proactive with this emergency that we have with water by supplying bottled water to people in Housatonic, because we, at the time when the problem is the worst, we cannot cook or drink the water. And somehow support the people in Housatonic by giving them giving them water, access to clean water during these problems that we are having.
I don't disagree with you, so we will put that on the next agenda.
Thank you very much.
Hurley Williamson.
Let's see.
All right, I turned my volume down.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Hurley.
I just want to go back on the main street.
Yeah.
Back before they did the main street, there was a bad accident by the US Post Office, and our former police chief father was killed there. One of the things they did to improve that area, which is not a straightaway like up by Car Hardware, it's a turning corner there, and you didn't see pedestrians. They put flashing lights there, pedestrian lights, and they worked very well. For some reason, when they started the rebuild on the main street, they took those flashing lights down, which was a big negative. So I'm getting to the pedestrian crossings on the main street. It is called the main street, and we have a traffic problem. What we need is flashing lights, not see people standing there to cross. We need flashing lights. So when people are crossing, and a perfect place over in Albany, New York, if you go over there, all their pedestrian crossings have flashing lights, and you can see the lights. You don't see the people, you see the lights, and that's what makes you stop. All I'm saying is, if you get flashing lights, they should be tied into the street lights. All summer long, whenever the lights turn green, right by the town hall, as you're heading north, you're going through the main street, traffic is at a dead stop with people walking across whenever they want. It's like mad cow disease. They roam across Main Street and the traffic just stops. So get out your lariats and try to get the street lights and the pedestrian lights working together.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it. See, James.
Oh, let me turn mine off
Good evening,
again.
Board. This is James Garzone, 84 North Plain Road. I just have a minor suggestion. When an entity is requesting a variance, I don't know if this is already part of the requirement, but maybe an abutter should be notified via certified mail, and the person requiring the variance submit that into their application, that the abutter knows what is going to happen if the variance is being requested. That's all.
It is
Thank you
for
very
all
much.
special permits, the abutters are notified by the list is gotten from the assessor, and the abutters have to be notified by certified mail.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Select board time. Garfield.
Thank you. I had a gentleman who seems a little bit angry when he came up to me on Sunday in the Big Y parking lot and asked whose call it was to hang the Ukrainian flag with the United States flag, and it was a half mast and why.
Was half mast for a reason, which is, Mark, go ahead. You.
Are you referring to the flag at the GB
Yes.
shrub park? Okay. We did have a request from a citizen to install that, and it was at a time in between parks meetings. So rather than wait until the Parks Commission met, we just said, go ahead and hang it. We were comfortable with that.
Okay. The person who asked was listening.
Hopefully. Trevor Forbes, you put your hand up late, but out of respect, I'll let you talk briefly.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. And I do appreciate all the work you guys do, particularly on a long day today. Just had a couple of things I wanted to raise. And I thought I'd
Open up. We really can't understand you. Is there?
My apologies for that.
No, actually worse.
Are you near Denise? Can you use her device?
We're about 300 miles, we're about 150 miles away from each other, so I can't do that. But is there...
I can understand you a little bit. So let's, if you make it brief and try, we'll hopefully understand you.
Okay. Just wanted to point out that under ARPA, one of the main factors that the administration was looking to improve was water infrastructure. Clean water in particular, and that ties into what Denise was saying. The other aspect that I wanted to raise was the state of Route 41, North Plain Road, which is abysmal at the moment, and in my view is a public safety issue as well. And I think the very heavy trucks that are going down that road are a contributory factor to what is obviously a seasonal factor as well. I think the select board should look into that. Those are my points. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Going back, Eric.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Ed.
Nothing.
Lee.
Yes, just to remind everyone that there will be a townwide cleanup coming up the day after Earth Day, which is on April 23rd for the cleanup. And I believe that there'll be a press release going out this week with more information. So just giving a heads up, and thanks to Housatonic the Beautiful that has been doing this for many, many, many years. And now thanks to some residents in Housatonic, we're going to be expanding this to the town. So more to come on this, but just keep an ear and eye out for that press release. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. And I have nothing else. So by unanimous consent, we are all. Garfield, do you have your hand up? Or
Yes, I did. I had written. Mark is actually away at the time, but when I knew we were going to do this, I thought it might be important, or it seemed important to me, that we make sure we had every safety issue can in hand if we're going to do this. Certainly town-wide, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done inside the roads. It's kind of scary, especially if you're going, I don't know if we're going to do Monument Mountain, but that's a scary place, but it's also very dirty. But I just wanted to make sure this was maybe advertised on the radio, maybe something in the Shopper's Guide to tell you it's happening, maybe where it's happening, what we have for safety concerns. That's my issue, safety.
Thank you, Garfield. And by unanimous consent, we are adjourned.
Thank you.